Sipple. Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Hey, the crossover is powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. You want to get paid?
This might be the least attended crossover in the history of the zone.
2 people?
Yeah. I mean, that has to be the minimum, I guess, right?
You got the number 2 chair and the producer on the crossover.
Yeah.
This is just going to be you and I getting to know each other. No, I'm kidding. Kind of a little bit. And just be a little bit of a hey, how you doing?
Hey,
I listened to your show yesterday.
Oh, you didn't have anything better to do?
No, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Well,
I very much did enjoy the Connor Happer show without Connor Happer, not because I hate Connor Happer or anything. I mean, I do hate Connor Happer, but
little rivalry there.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It was a different flow of like how things were, and I thought you did a phenomenal job. You have to, and I get into this way at times as well, and I think you and I are birds in the feather. You got to be a little less self-deprecating. Like you were doing a good job yesterday. You're a little too tough on yourself, I thought.
Did anyone else know that during the warmer months, Arizona is in a different time zone?
I knew that.
Than normal.
Hey, look, you're not going to be talking to me. You're complaining to the wrong guy about not knowing slight things that are incorrect or correct. Okay, I get caught on that all the time.
They kept saying, "Oh yeah, Matt Waldron will join you at noon Mountain Time." I'm like, okay. I'm not an idiot. I know when Mountain Time is. That's an hour behind us.
Yeah.
They should say Arizona time or
was there a discrepancy? I didn't hear that. There was a discrepancy of when he was going to call in?
During the warmer months, Arizona is 2 hours behind Central Standard Time.
Oh.
And so when Matt Waldron called at 2:00 during the afternoon crossover, I didn't have anything for him. And the Padres were mad at me.
Oh no.
Which is understandable, but also
we got to communicate a little.
Like
here.
Let's make sure
we're all on the same page.
Yeah, like, hey, we're in Arizona, and Arizona's a weirdo state.
You'll get Matt a different time.
It did not sound like him.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
But do you know his dad though? You guys met at Arenza.
I know. I didn't play that card with her. Well, the Padres PR girl was.
Was she that mad?
They were a little put out.
Really?
Yes.
I love nothing better than reading angry emails. I really do. I enjoy it.
This was a phone call.
Oh, really? Holy Lord! Wait, is the media availability of Padres pitchers just that big of a deal to the point where you get a stern talking to, like you're going to the principal's office?
She said this just makes our PR department look bad, and I didn't say it, but I definitely thought, hey, you not telling a rube like me that Arizona has weird time zones.
So it was affected because of the clocks turning forward or something like that? Or
well, they said noon Mountain, and I didn't think to clarify, oh, you're in Arizona.
So it's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's different than Mountain Time because it's 2 hours behind. It's not like.
So why didn't they say Arizona time then?
Because to them it's normal, right? Like, yeah, we're Mountain Time.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's like when I say
you're actually Pacific time.
I was about to say they're in the Pacific. They're not Mountain. You know, that's another thing too. Like when I came to Nebraska, saying that I wear gym shoes and bags. You know, or I play bags.
You play bags.
I play bags, and I wear gym shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently neither of those things exist in the state of Nebraska. And so that was a real, because it's tennis shoes
and cornhole.
And it's like one of those things where you don't know you're different till you're different.
Come on, people.
I know people got really, they get on me because that in 16, I was asked to join a softball league. And I go,
congratulations.
Well, this was last year. This was the Jack Mitchell experience.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I said, hey,
that's barely a softball team.
Totally agree. I say, hey, this 16-inch or 12-inch? And they go, what is 16-inch softball? Like I kind of got drugged through the mud a little bit because I asked if it was what. They're like, what else would we play? Do you know what 16-inch softball is?
But bat size?
No. So it's a much, look up a 16-inch softball on your computer. It's a much bigger ball.
Careful.
It's a little bit, it's softer, right? It's still, don't get me wrong, these things fly like really, really fast, but it's softer.
Oh.
and it's like I said, it's 4 inches bigger in diameter, and you throw it underhand. You play a little bit closer to the plate because you can't launch that thing as far, and you play the game without a glove.
I'll read from the Wikipedia page
Go ahead.
here. 16-inch softball, sometimes called clincher, mush ball, cabbage ball, puff ball,
Cabbage ball is
blooper ball, smush ball, and Chicago ball.
Chicago ball. There you go. So that's what we played in gym. Like during like the spring months, like right now, we'd go onto the field.
Okay.
And we had a 16-inch softball, like basically lesson. And we had like senior leaders and whatever, and the senior leaders would all have teams, and they would draft freshmen. You would have like a scouting combine for 16-inch softball, and then they would have like a live draft, and like kids just got told whether or not they're a good athlete. It was really great. It was great for character building. And then there were trades, like these guys were trading freshmen to like improve their team, and there was like a deadline and everything. It was crazy. It was ridiculous.
I like that idea of like, okay, this is a keeper league for
it is
4 years.
Exactly. No. It wasn't for 4 years, but it was like our coach, Coach Kostick, believed that everybody in the school needed to know where they were at on the athletic hierarchy at all times in order to motivate kids to be better.
Sure.
Because where I went to school was all about sports. We were a sports school. Like we gave money to kids to play sports or everything like that. So that's what I got brought up in. But 16 in softball, there you go. You should play it. It should become a Nebraska thing. It's fun. It's good.
I would imagine there's enough people who are familiar that you could start a game or find a game like that, right?
Would you say easily?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not that. It's baseball. You play baseball.
Okay.
And then you just play with a bigger ball. And then you just hope you don't break your fingers. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people break their fingers, though. It's a
I don't like
finger-breaking type deal. Hey, and by the way, we are in upset watch here as Ashland Greenwood is up 47-41 now after Lincoln Lutheran, the 1 seed, just had a layup. So it's 47-41 here as Ashland Greenwood leads number 1 seed Lincoln Lutheran. A couple minutes ago. Timeout 2:38. Hey, find your getaway. Go to Kearney.
Don't go to that arch.
So do I have to do like a summer Nebraska World Tour or summer Nebraska tour?
I think it might be good for you
to like go to.
Again, I can't say that word.
Good.
I think it would be an excellent idea for you to learn about the state, which I'm sure you already know a lot of these things.
No, not really. Like, if I'm being honest, like, yes, I know that there's the Nebraska Passport tool.
That's right.
Which I did a full report on the Nebraska Passport as one of my capstone projects not too long ago. But I think I probably should do that to learn more. Like I said before, I take emails, guys. Email me. Tell me where I need to go. Tell me where I need to visit. Tell me where I need to eat. Tell me where I can fish. No one's given me fishing spots yet. I need fishing spots. I want to catch bass.
We got a lot of those.
I just need more help.
I don't know where they are.
Just help me. Help me. Help you.
Do you know Crash?
I've met Crash, yes. Okay. I don't know Crash.
Crash will tell you anything you want to know about the outdoors.
Who's the outdoor weather guy?
Section.
Isn't the outdoor weather guy? Don't we have an outdoor weather guy that does his outdoor weather report?
Well, yeah, not in the building.
You should email me.
Greg Wagner isn't in the
Greg
building.
Wagner, there you go. I worked on a outdoor show before. Had to get to the radio station I was at 5:15.
Oh, those outdoorsmen start early.
On a Saturday. So no nightlife for your boy on the Fridays, and just come in at 5:15. And we learned about fishing in Illinois.
We have some suggestions.
Okay, give it to me.
On the YouTube, Hippie 1999 says, Ashland has a pretty decent golf course next to the high school. I like getting down there. Why not? Hoiberg says Zarinsky is good for catfish.
Okay. Well, I don't have catfish gear.
Okay. Jeff says a good trip to go on is Valentine to go tubing down the Niobrara.
Oh,
it would be a good way to kill a hot day.
Yeah.
Good golf courses in the area as well.
I'm seeing these comments right now. Good. Well, so here's what I'm doing. You want to hear my plan? So did you hear about my board yesterday? You heard about the board?
I heard that you have a board now.
I have a board.
Mike, if you haven't heard this, you need to listen.
I won. I placed 4 bets yesterday. Okay.
I see the tickets. You can see them on Zone TV.
We won 3 of them.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going, and we got to cash these out. And then right across the way from the Warhorse in Omaha is a driving range. Like, where you can go and golf. So I'm just going to, people are like, what do you do your winnings? You're just going to give it back to the casino. Hell no. I'm going to take my winnings, and I'm going to go and get a bucket of balls, and I'm going to hit golf balls. And then I'm going to go to NFM to pick up a chair.
A chair?
Yeah, I got a rocking chair.
Okay.
For my room, like a nice little lazy boy.
Nice.
Because, I got to make the house a home, right?
Sure.
And that's what NFM is for. And so doing that,
they should really be sponsoring your show at this point.
I mean, I have given them so much run, them and Mr. B's, about how often I go there. I do have an NFM card now, too.
Okay.
So I remember Connor Happer once told me, he goes, you're going to get an NFM card? I go, I don't think I'll put that on my credit. He goes, everybody gets an NFM card.
Rite of passage.
So I will be making those payments for the next 6 months to pay off my lazy boy chair, and then I am going to go to Lincoln and celebrate the holiday.
The holiday?
The holiday. You don't know what holiday it is?
Is there? Oh God.
Oh my God.
St. Patrick's Day?
There you go. The holiday.
I guess that is Monday, so we're going to do it Saturday, right?
And Friday.
Okay.
And Saturday.
What's the plan look like?
McKinney's.
Okay.
Tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to go to this place called McKinney's. And then on Sunday I'm going to drive back to Omaha.
Okay. So this is
and
not
we're watching sports.
This is not a local holiday for you.
No. I have. See, that's the problem when you
That's okay.
live in Omaha and you went to Lincoln and all your friends are in all your friends are in Lincoln and they still stay in Lincoln. I have so many, so I got to go out there all the time, which is annoying, which I'm trying to bring a little bit. I need to find a Quora or a Reddit about how do you get people from Lincoln to Omaha,
Good idea. What's the pull?
I know, but they're like, well, why would we go to bar? You're only one guy. Why would we go to bars out there when we can go to bars down here? So I always have to I always got to be the nice guy. I wish I wasn't the nice guy so often.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I'm a kind man.
I've heard that about you.
Is that true? I don't think you have.
I don't know.
I don't think that is the word. I don't think that bird is the word, as some would say.
Look, I tried. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for trying to up my reputation.
I'm not like Connor. I'm not here to tear you down.
Well, Connor doesn't tear me down. Connor tries to tear me down. I just stay upright, man. I'm just hanging in there. I'm just like Rocky. I just take the punches. I'm built out of steel. All right. Bang, head, liver, gut, don't matter. Just throwing it back at him. Do you think that he yesterday was at that game during that DePaul sweat and was like, man, I don't want to go back to Omaha tomorrow?
I came all the way out here for
a game.
One game where they played bad.
Would he have flown out today if they lost?
I think he would have. We talked about this possibility.
Okay.
He said he was also should Creighton not win, he was interested in going to a St. John's UConn final.
Sure.
Because the Garden would be a madhouse.
Would be absolutely ridiculous. Which, by the way, I want Creighton to win the Big East. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not a J-Sker, but I want them to win the Big East. Okay? Kalkbrenner and McDermott deserve it more than anybody. If they can play, if the bench plays well, they have the ceiling high enough to go and do it. Okay? A good consolation prize, though, is UConn St. John's in the final. If you were not to make it, at least if it was Marquette and UConn, I'd be like, well, I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Neither of these teams are going to win the national championship. Neither of these teams, at least for me, have any sort of pull in terms of whether or not I want to sit down and watch them play. And it's mainly because I can't stand Marquette as a school even before I started watching their basketball team, which is wildly overrated. And if it weren't for David Joplin and his lucky butt, I would have been 4 for 4, at Wendy's on my bets. But regardless of that, St. John's UConn would be great. I think that would be better than any other any other conference tourney championship game. I just don't think that's the one thing about playing the Big East in the Garden, right? It's does anyone really give a damn about Indianapolis from the Big Ten in terms of venues? Like,
No.
do people really care about? I guess Kansas City, but the problem is that Iowa State lost yesterday, and so did Kansas. So, like, the allure of like, hey, this would be a rocking place in Kansas. Like the two teams that you would think. How many people from Utah are coming down to Kansas City to watch BYU?
Right. It's pretty much just like Iowa State and Kansas fans, like
Basically,
because they've gone
they're
to
right there.
Kansas City for their conference tournament for a generation.
How many more venues are really like the Garden,
Mhm.
where it's like, man, it's the Garden.
I feel like Staples was that way for a little bit,
but then
it
they
isn't-
changed the name,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like the Crypto.com
Oh.
arena. Are baseball, like, I feel like baseball stadiums are like that, but only to go to them, you know?
Mhm.
Like, man, it'd be great to go to Fenway. Awesome to go to Wrigley. Man, new Yankee Stadium. I want to see Oracle. But in terms of like a venue, I don't think it has that pull. Maybe Shea maybe used to.
Nothing is coming to mind.
Like, do you think a game is that much bigger because it's played in Fenway, at least from a TV perspective?
I mean,
don't get me wrong. You'd rather play a game like games at Fenway have a little bit more history than games at Tropicana, right?
yeah, definitely.
Like
Neither has a roof.
Yeah, there's a jeez.
Why?
Come on. It's a natural disaster.
It's an act of God.
But like, you have the Garden, and then after that, like maybe a Lambeau
Okay.
has that aura.
A little Sunday night football at Lambeau.
In Lambeau. That means
that
it's a
does
little
feel-
bit, yeah, it's like, man, it's in Lambeau. I think Fenway might have it.
They don't do a
But then-
ton of things there.
Exactly.
The Wasabi Bowl. What the hell?
Pinstripe Bowls
What
and
the hell is the name of that bowl game?
the Yamamoto or the Wakasaki are you talking about the motorcycles?
No,
or
the Fenway Bowl. Wasabi, is it the Wasabi Fenway
it
Bowl?
is not the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Yes, it is.
It is not wasabi.
Yes.
It is not over a Japanese sushi ingredient.
No, it's a cloud. It's an internet cloud. Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Really?
There it is.
It's wasabi?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good for them. Good for wasabi. Hey, now that's exactly why they pay for the naming rights of the bowl, right? So now we're talking about everyone's going to start looking up wasabi. What the hell is it? No one knows.
No, I think people see. I think that's actually the lone instance.
Poll
in
question.
Which it's bad.
Poll question. Does anyone know what wasabi is?
Because everyone just assumes it's the sushi garnish.
Does anybody know what wasabi the company is? Poll question of the day. Connor Happer show.
Up at Happer show.
What's on the docket for you today?
We got four guests.
Holy
Friday.
Lord!
I know.
Talk about being overbooked. Tony Khan behind the microphone over there.
Hopefully, some of them answer the phone.
Hopefully, some of them don't like blade themselves and bleed profusely in a cage.
Well, we're a family show.
Are you?
Yeah.
You know, Cleveland's great for the family.
I did not know this.
It's great for the family.
Is this what they're saying about
There's a
Cleveland?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Then you go to
Okay.
Cannon and the Football Hall of Fame. You know, Superman was made in Cleveland. You know about that? Superman was made in Cleveland.
Okay.
Like the first comic was written. Cleveland's great for the family. Okay. I've learned so much about Cleveland because my co-host Gary Sharp has become like a tourist advertiser for Cleveland because he wants the Mavericks to play there so bad.
Oh, honey, they're not going to Cleveland.
I think they're going to Wichita.
I think so too.
I think that's just kind of, I don't know. Do people like this is a convo? Like I know the committee and the people who follow the committee say, well, you know, the geographics don't really matter. I beg to differ.
It sure seems like they do a lot of the time.
Like if we're talking about the whole, if you have a 15 seed, if you have two 15 seeds, okay, and systematically, okay, one should go. Let's just break it down this way. You have one 15 seed that's in Omaha, and you have one 15 seed that's in Kentucky, okay, and you have a round of 64, round of 32 in Wichita, and a round of 64 and a round of 32 in Lexington, right? Even though maybe systematically Omaha should go to Kentucky to play that game, and the Kentucky team should go to Kansas to play that game, even though the analytics and the net and everything points like, oh, these are what the proper matchups is. Do you not think that the NCAA doesn't think, well, we are paying for the travel? It would be nicer if we just sent the Kentucky team to Kentucky and the Omaha team to Kansas, because that's just going to work out logistically better for us. You don't. I mean, I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is. I'm not making that claim. But that has to be some. You got to think that's a thought, right?
I would think so. I mean, some people are saying that would be a
I
great
hope it's
question
not.
for.
I hope it's not the case. I hope they just properly seed people where they properly
I
seed
mean,
people.
that's-
That's the best case scenario.
You're living in a dream world, but yeah.
Like you would think, hey, these are the proper matchups. Proper matchups will play where the proper matchups are. But it just seems like too often it's kind of works out.
Mhm.
We'll send this person. We'll send this team here. Send this team there. I don't know. Just something to talk about. I don't think it really matters in the long run for the validity of the NCAA tournament.
You know, what's the coach say? We'd go play in.
Uzbekistan or what was it?
They always say
Yeah.
something like that. You know, we'd go play in Uzbekistan.
Yeah, Scott Frost said it. Scott Frost had that exact quote.
Oh.
Where was it? I know Bigelow knows. Bigelow's in the comments right now. Bigelow, where did Frost say during 2020 that they were going to play? He made it very clear that there was I'm pretty sure it was a Middle Eastern country that he was like, we'll go play there. It might have been Uzbekistan.
Nebraska coach Scott Frost said his team would go to Uzbekistan.
There it
to play
is.
A game
There
if
it is. I got it right.
So you nailed it.
That's a great quote.
It really is actually.
Because Uzbekistan isn't necessarily like the top, third world country you might think of to say. The fact that was the one that came to his mind.
I'm impressed of his geography knowledge.
Maybe he was
there.
playing. Yeah, he was playing a lot of Call of Duty back.
I heard they got great toilet wine in Uzbekistan. I could do an onside kick there too. Doesn't matter.
Uzbekistan is great for the family.
All right, that's going up there on Happer Show. Is Uzbekistan great for the family? So you're just getting drunk in Lincoln all weekend? Is that what you're doing? Imbibing?
You sound like my mother.
Oh,
I mean, well, you sound like a concerned parent.
Right. I am a parent.
I have to. This is so stupid. I have to look at my CBS Sports app to see what games play at what time to determine when I'm going to Lincoln and when I'm going to have my first drink, because there are games that I would like to be active and attentive and sober for and actually take notes on and be prepared to talk about on Monday. And there are some games where I couldn't give a rat's butt about it.
So let me
we'll go through the list. Let's do this. This is fun.
Big Ten championship game is what time this weekend? I don't even know.
Think I don't know.
2:30 Saturday?
That's fine.
2:30 Sunday. Is there a Sunday final? Really?
Yeah. Because they play quarters today, semis tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Same thing with, quarters are, today are semis, right? For Creighton or for the Big East. Right. I think the SEC is quarters today, semis to final as well.
Correct.
But today, right? As soon as we get off the air and I do my take 5, I'm going to run to go and watch Oregon play Michigan State because those are, I think Oregon and Michigan State right now are the two best teams in the Big Ten, in their current form.
Oregon's found a little something.
Oregon's won 8 straight games. They look really good right now. Their wins coming against, now, not the best competition, Northwestern, Rutgers, Iowa, beat Wisconsin in overtime, USC, Indiana, Washington. But they've dominated those games, and they looked really damn good yesterday. And so they're clicking at the right time. I want to watch that game. I'm going to have the Ole Miss Auburn game. I want to watch that. And then after that, I don't really get anywhere until Marquette St. John's and then Creighton and UConn.
I don't mean to be a bad influence on you, and I understand you want to live in the moment and
sure
watch what's on in front of you. But have you thought of it from this angle? What do you think you're going to be talking about on the show Monday? Not the Big Ten championship game, whatever the bracket is.
Oh, that's a good point.
But
you do listen. You know this. I got to be locked on everything at all times. Okay, I keep my head on a swivel. We talk about a lot of different things. And
our roles are different.
A lot of different times. I have to be in tune 24/7, and which is why I think it makes the show what the show is because we talk about damn near everything, which is I enjoy that. So it's just I get that. I know what you're saying, but it's for me, and it's good for me too. It's good for me to watch. I need it. I need to,
I would agree.
Like, it's good.
Mhm.
So I know that, like, we're going to be filling out the brackets and talking about the brackets and the matchups and everything like that and our favorite. Like, I know that it's literally going to be probably 3 hours and 15 minutes of the NCAA tournament, 15 minutes of the high school basketball tournament, 15 minutes of baseball, and then we might throw like a Dylan Raiola, Emmett Johnson, we're here nugget at some point, you know? Or Matt Rhule said this.
If there's another 3/4 court heave in Lincoln this weekend,
Yeah,
you
Barrett
might
Boziger.
talk about that.
What a shot from Barrett.
Number 1 on SportsCenter.
I mean, it should be. I mean, that's why I enjoy high school basketball so much, because I was, if we're being honest, not too far removed from being a high school athlete, if I'm dating myself here, which I probably should stop doing. But like those moments, a lot of those kids aren't going to end up playing college sports. A lot of them aren't going to end up playing.
A lot of us go pro in something other than sports.
Exactly. And it's just like those moments, though, when you win those games and you win a state championship. Yeah. Is it fairly low on the totem pole in the grand scheme of sports? Sure. Is it something that you never forget? Absolutely. I mean, we do, and you know this, the high schools do. When you win a high school state championship 10 years from now, they're going to bring you back onto the floor.
That's right.
And honor you for a state championship victory. And you're going to, wave around and, get some drinks after at the local pub. It's a great time. Like these are the games where you set your future reunions. That's what high school state basketball is all about. You want a reunion in 10 years? You got to earn it right now.
Wow, I've never thought of that. But yeah.
Like you set your future dates. Hey, you want to be in your high school's Hall of Fame and you want to get honored in 8 years for it?
God, I really do.
You want that moment where you're all out there and, your wife's got to come with you and you got to bring the little kid in the stroller and whatnot to take a picture with a bunch of guys you haven't talked to in 12 years. You want that moment?
Yes, I want that desperately.
You got to get that moment now. That is when these moments are made. I'm being tongue in cheek. I wish I won a state title and was able to have those things to look forward to. They're incredible moments in someone's life.
Put me in the Burke Hall of Fame, cowards.
Why? Ty, give me your reason why you should be in the Burke Hall of Fame.
Because when I went to Burke, I was their Hall of Fame is displayed in the cafeteria.
Okay.
And I had to look at it every single day.
Yeah.
And what do we covet, Clarice? We covet what we see every day. And that's what I want. And
what movie is that from?
Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
I've accomplished more than 99% of my high school classmates.
Wow.
Do I have any money? No. Am I going to donate? No.
I actually did have a talk with my high school football head coach yesterday and did talk about being a bit of a booster. I want the Dons to win, man.
Yeah.
I want the Dons to win.
I want the Bulldogs to win. It's me and Dan Jackson out here representing the class.
Oh, really? It's you two. You were in the same high school class?
Yes.
Did you know at that point in time in the hallways of Burke that Dan Jackson would be the head coach of the South Dakota State football team?
Not specifically that school, but yes, I knew he'd be.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought right then and there?
Yeah, it was pretty clear
that he was just a football guy and that he wanted it.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for Dan. We had him on the show. He's a great dude.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, I don't. Unless. See, the joke was always like, if I make around the horn, that would be the only way that I could make it to the Notre Dame College Prep
clock's
Hall
ticking.
of Fame. Oh, that clock it's past. We're done. I think I had a good.
Not a lot of new entrants between now and the end of May.
No, I don't think Tony Reale is taking any applicants as Woody Page makes his quest for 700 wins. What is more fake? Charlotte Flair becoming a 17-time world champion or Woody Page getting to 700 wins on Around the Horn?
Woody Page's took longer, so I'll answer Charlotte.
Flair. There's got to be a better non-wrestling comparison for me to make in that regard. But I just know I'm sitting with you, so.
It does not go over my head.
It goes over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
But isn't that, I mean...
That's their problem, not yours.
Is there anything better than niche nostalgia?
Really, no. Really, no, there isn't.
Like, nostalgia's great, but niche nostalgia. Poll question up on ConnorHappershow.com. Is there anything better than niche nostalgia?
I like that. Is there anything better?
Because like general nostalgia is fun. Like, don't get me wrong. Like that's, we kind of live for nostalgic moments. But
Yeah, we
nostalgic
all had,
moments that only you and two other people get.
We all played GoldenEye on N64.
Exactly. We all remember, when that one Super Bowl, halftime show where that thing happened. We all get that.
Her boob came out. We all remember it.
We all remember that. But like, do we all remember the Yes movement? No.
Yes.
No, we don't. No, not all of us.
No, not all of us.
Not all of us. I mean, there's nothing better. When only there wasn't it like Norm Macdonald or some famous comedian said there's nothing better than a joke that only you are in on?
That sounds like something Norm would say.
It's someone.
Yeah.
Jacob Bigelow writes, me and Happer are in a race for the Omaha Central Hall of Fame. I think if Jacob Bigelow is able to upset Robin Washut in the Michael Severe tournament bracket poll on Twitter, he might be able to get into the Omaha Central Hall of Fame because of that. J-Man writes, put the mayoral candidate in the Burke Hall of Fame already. Josh O equals GOAT.
Thank you, J-Man.
There you go. So 4 interviews. What are your 4 interviews before I head out of here?
Oh, yeah. We got Bryan Munson on to talk recruiting.
Nice.
BC's on. Connor Happer's going to call in from New York City. And then his father, Stephen M. Sipple, will call in after that.
I thought like Mr. Happer was actually just going to call in.
No.
That'd be a funny bit for a whole week. Each show interviews a different show host's father.
Mm-hmm.
Mike McMaster on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Well, I mean, we will have a show from the Omaha Baseball Village on Father's Day.
We could do that.
Yeah.
I will be probably there doing that show.
Probably.
Let's recreate that for the bosses that are currently listening. I will be there.
And excited about it.
And so happy.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Everyone's telling me that, it's a long ride. I wouldn't know. I'm going to go in being very naive, and where you tell me to jump, I say, how high?
Excellent.
Josh
That's
Hodson.
the right attitude.
Josh Hodson, how high do you want me to jump?
I don't know yet. I'll have to think of something. It'll probably
Rhule.
involve you, a tiny microphone, and a whole bunch of strangers.
No. Okay. Hey, yes. I will be there. I will do it.
Okay. That's the spirit.
My comments get Matt Waldron's dad instead of Matt.
That's my close personal friend, Matt Waldron's dad.
Close. How many close personal friends do you have?
I got a lot of close personal friends.
Frank Caliendo.
People like me. Jeff
Matt Waldron's dad. Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I thought I hopefully that was a good enough content crossover for you.
I loved it.
The solo Josh Hodson show is going to be happening, or the Connor Happer show with Josh Hodson. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
You kept calling it the Connor Happer show without Connor Happer. It's the Connor Happer show with good host Josh Hodson.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we'll have today.
All right.
Matt McMaster, have a great weekend.
Duke minus 7.5. That's my pick.
Oh, hello.
Duke minus 7.5.
Even without Cooper Flagg?
It's a great line.
Okay.
Con Knipple,
North
Tyrese
Carolina.
Proctor.
Not great. That's the crossover. It's powered by Everlevel Concrete. Repair in Omaha, everlevelconcrete.com. We'll start the show next.
Blackjack.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
Becoming mostly cloudy for your Friday, warm and windy with a high today of 77 and gusts possible in excess of 40 miles an hour. A chance of thunderstorms, a few of which may become severe, mainly between 3 to 6 p.m., our biggest threat being damaging wind gusts. 60% chance of showers tonight, staying cloudy and windy, a low of 36. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
Get ready for a big weekend at Tal Anderson Field as Omaha baseball takes.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Hello, good morning. This is Friday. We've made it. Well, I mean, I don't know what your work day looks like. It's 10:30 on a Friday. You're probably not going to be productive the rest of the day. If you're anything like me, welcome to the Connor Happer Show, or as we got it on 1620, thezone.com, zonetv.live, YouTube, the Josh Odson Show. I crossed out Connor's name and wrote my own. I've marked this program as my own. I'm like Matt Rhule, taking on the Nebraska fan base. I am producer Josh Odson. Connor is in New York City. He was at Madison Square Garden last night, and he will call in to tell us about the atmosphere last night and Creighton's, let's call it a slow start and double overtime victory over Czech's Notes DePaul, of all teams. And he'll help us preview tonight's semifinal in the Big East against UConn, or as it is known here on the Connor Happer Show, when Creighton and UConn play each other.
Hell in a Cell.
That's right. Third Hell in a Cell match between Creighton and UConn today. Also, we will talk to Connor Happer about a tweet that he did. He posted a photo of his meal 19 minutes ago from Katz Delicatessen, where he ordered a half pastrami on rye with matzo ball soup. There's a bowl full of pickles, different colored pickles. We'll get his thoughts on that. And I assume, he's been in New York for like 24 hours now. I assume he's had a bagel. We'll talk to him about the food and the basketball today. We'll talk to Bryan Munson about recruiting at 11 o'clock. So in about 20 minutes, we'll chat with Bryan Munson. Brian Christopherson will join us after that at 11:30. He'll have some thoughts on Rhule's presser earlier this week, where Nebrasketball goes from here, and everything else happening in Lincoln. And fingers crossed, Steve Sipple's going to join us at 12:30. Today is March 14th, and math nerds call that Pi Day. Pi, the number 3.14. So I will give you my top 5 pies at the end of the noon hour. We'll preview Creighton basketball tonight, Creighton baseball this weekend, as well as Nebraska baseball, Omaha baseball, and we'll catch you up on everything that's happening in Lincoln for the boys' state tournament. It is wild scene there, as it is semifinal Friday. We just had another number 1 seed go down in C1. Ashland Greenwood upended number 1 Lincoln Lutheran to advance to the finals. So they are in the finals. Let's see who else. Class D1 Johnson Brock is in the finals, and that is it right now. By the end of the day, we'll have all of our finals set in the boys state basketball championships down there at Lincoln. We got a lot to do today, but there's always time for you, and we'll make that. No shortage of ways to get a hold of us. You can text the show. As always, I am, if I'm hosting the show, I'm also producing the show, because salaries, I don't know. Nobody produces for me. Just the way of the world, I guess. You can text the show because I can't pick up the phone. 402-951-1620. You can email us in the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. The best way to get a hold of us there is by emailing me, because I'm the only one in this room. Josh O at 1620thezone.com. You can tweet the show at Happer Show, at 1620thezone, or at producer_Josh. That would be the J Tech Construction Twitter feed. So we'll get those read on the air for you. Many people commenting on my confusion about Arizona's time zones. A couple of texts from the 402. Arizona is in Mountain Standard Time. Everyone else is in Mountain Daylight Time. I would argue that can be confusing. Another text from the 402. It was literally not mountain time. You're good. I mean, it is technically mountain time, but there's 2 mountain times. I don't know. Alex and Lincoln, Happer as a guest on his own show is a good bit. Yeah, it's great work if you can get it. Connor, very nice to go out to New York and help John Bishop with the post-game duties at Madison Square Garden. Not an easy place to navigate and get around, so John is very thankful for Happer helping him out. Yeah, so we'll have lots of fun. It is a Friday, so we'll have all the normal stuff. I guess we don't do anything super special on a Friday. I mean, we do odd news, we do poll questions, we'll tell you what to watch. We do those things every day, regardless of whether or not it's a Friday, but we'll do them today on a Friday. When we come back, we'll recap whatever the hell that Creighton game was last night. It looked to be a oh no disaster drop, and then it turned into one of the most fun games of basketball, albeit stressful. It was a lot of fun to watch the festivities at the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden last night. We will recap it all for you next. Bryan Munson talks Husker football recruiting in about 15 minutes with us here on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone.
After further review, the host is deemed to be out of bounds. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
Lives?
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes, feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone. Producer Josh producing and hosting today. So I guess half the time I can introduce myself as producer Josh, and half the time I can introduce myself as host Josh. Although host Josh doesn't have the same ring to it. They're underway with another basketball game already. I guess it's probably been the requisite 20 or 30 minutes or whatever, but Concordia and Donovan Trumbull. That sounds like a villain in the Matilda book, but that's neither here nor there. 8-5, the 7 seed, up over Concordia, the 3 seed, there at the Big House in Lincoln. So that's fun. I always like having the guys get in here and they turn it to the ACC or the Big East or whatever. I like watching the kids play. I don't know. It's more fun that way. More pure, I guess. I'm not a money's ruined college athletics guy, but there is something about just kind of the purity of the high school game that you don't always get with the college game. We'll talk about Creighton. We'll get to Bryan Munson here in about 10 minutes. But first, we want to hear from you, YouTube. Baymon says, Josh, you are the radio Shohei. Many are saying. Yesterday, I asked if I'm the Magic Johnson of radio. Today, I will ask, is producer Josh the Shohei Ohtani of radio? You can vote on that on our Twitter page at Happer Show, all one word. And it is up there for you to enjoy. Last night, this basketball game, my goodness, what a frustratingly enjoyable game. Yesterday, I came on the radio and I openly questioned whether or not Creighton gave a hoot about the Big East tournament. They very quickly proved me to be correct. And then after that, proved me to be wrong. So I'm still going to take a semi-victory lap on that, even though I don't think I should. Creighton found themselves down by, let's call it a lot. They were down 15 points pretty early. Boy, it seemed to be very quick against DePaul, a team that they had beaten 22 times in a row. A stat that I looked up yesterday. I did all the counting on it. I didn't go to Rob Anderson's notes. I didn't go to a website. I literally looked at the history between the two teams and counted 1, 2, 3, all the way to 22 in a row. It seemed like such an astronomically high number that I didn't share it on the radio because I wasn't confident in its validity. I just said Creighton owns DePaul about 47 times on the show yesterday because I counted and it didn't seem correct. It seemed too big a number. No one beats anyone 22 times in a row. Well, Creighton has now beaten DePaul 23 times in a row. A lot of Creighton fans have seen Creighton lose that exact game, that exact way a lot in previous years. You show up, you get that first game that on the surface seems very easy, and you just let it run down your leg. Like just... It's a scientific term. A lot of basketball coaches use it. That's what that first... the whole first half was like that for Creighton. They were down, 15 at the half, largest halftime deficit of the season. March of 2008 is when you have to go back against Rhode Island, the Fighting Lamar Odoms of Rhode Island. I understand Lamar Odom was not on that team, but he's the only alumnus of Rhode Island that I can think of. March of 2008, the last time Creighton won a game when trailing by 15 or more at halftime. the shots aren't falling. The team looked horribly disinterested. And I mean, it just seems like, oh my gosh, what a wasted trip to New York. I saw a lot of fans on Twitter, and rightfully so, said, hey, this is why I don't go to games at the Garden anymore, because Creighton does things like this where they just don't seem to care about the Big East tournament, which is why I asked the question openly and was mocked roundly. I believe John Bishop called me an idiot for saying that, and that's okay. John Bishop can call me an idiot. He knows he's forgotten more about Creighton basketball than I'll ever know. By the way, you can listen to me talk about Creighton basketball on Shoot Around tonight at 6 o'clock, because I need to talk more on these airwaves. 4 hours isn't enough. I need more airtime. So I will be talking on this radio station for 5.5 hours today. Yes, that's right. A 90-minute shoot around comes your way at 6 o'clock after Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Like I said, I watched this game, and I'm not really sure how Creighton did it, especially once Ashworth fouled out. I mean, my goodness, what a lot of, I believe in New York they would call it chutzpah, to win that game, second largest comeback win under Greg McDermott. And now you kind of ask the question going forward, boy, you played a 50-minute basketball game, right? 20, 40, 5, 50. Yeah, 50-minute basketball game. You got to be drained physically and mentally going forward, as you're now trying to win 3 games in 3 days, and you have maybe not your arch rival, but a team you certainly don't like in UConn.
Hell in a sack.
A lot of history between these two teams, and they'll write another chapter tonight. By the way, Greg McDermott, 4-1 in double overtime or more. That's an oddly good record. So one of those tip of the cap to you, Mac, sort of things. Kalkbrenner becomes the first player in Big East tournament history with 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks in a game. My God, did he look tired after the game. And he said, hey, in about 15 minutes, this adrenaline's going to wear off, and yeah, I'm going to be feeling it. Now, yes, me, Josh Odson, who's about to turn 40, probably couldn't turn it around and get up to go tonight against UConn, but luckily they don't let fat, doughy schlubs play on the Creighton basketball team. They have high-tuned, much younger people, although Ryan Kalkbrenner might be 36 years old. He's been there for God knows how many years, 5. The only other player in any league to have a game like Kalkbrenner last night, 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks, some guy named Kevin Durant for Texas when he had 37, 10, and 6 against Kansas on March 11th of 2007. So we'll see what Creighton has left in the tank tonight. They will be, I'm going to guess, outnumbered in a fan base perspective, as Madison Square Garden does become Stores South for the Big East tournament. So can they kind of rally against each other in a Big East semifinal and make it to the final? We'll talk about this game more as the show goes on. Connor Happer will join us at noon. He was there in the arena. He'll tell us what it was like and what he thinks will happen tonight against UConn. But we got to talk Husker football. We got to talk about recruiting. And if we're talking Creighton on the Connor Happer show, we're talking to Bryan Munson. He joins us next.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Nothing gets the weekend started like a conversation with Bryan Munson, Husker Online. He joins us now. Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Are you guys getting some of this wind we've had down here?
Yes, it has been incredibly windy today, specifically. I feel like there was one day earlier this week that it was. Last couple of days have been like picture-perfect spring days here.
Oh, yesterday was beautiful. I took today off with the hopes that I could go outside and scalp the yard and spray it with fertilizer and watch it just like warm up in this sunny glow. Yesterday was gorgeous, 76, 77 degrees.
Hell yeah.
Woke up this morning, take my kid to school, and the wind is like out of the south, like 40 miles an hour. It is just wild what's going on. So was nothing like today, like yesterday, and a little bit disappointed, but that's the way it typically rolls. The day that you went off is not going to be the weather that you had kind of planned for.
So I guess then what are you going to do with your day off? Are you going to get those chores done, or are you going to do something else?
We're going to do a little something else. The kiddos only got a half day of school. They're on spring break next week. We're going to do a couple things around the house here really quick. Did the haircut, went to the post office. So just did some chores, and then basketball. We're going to be back into watching some b-ball and hanging out with the dogs and waiting for mom to get home. And that's about it, man.
Okay. Thoughts on the Bills' free agency moves highlighted by Joey Bosa?
I'm pondering whether or not an investment in a number 97 jersey is worth it. It's $130 and he's only got a 1-year deal.
Yeah, a little 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah, and that's going to be the interesting side of this, right? It's like, is this going to be prove yourself and then break the bank on, giving you a deal? But they just gave that kind of deal to Russo. And so it's interesting, right? And trust me, we talked about this. You and I and Connor talked about this in the AFC in the playoffs this year. Epineza went away, and Russo really went away. So you got to have a dynamic duo of those edge guys, coming at them, and with those middle linebackers, and they took care of them. So I feel pretty good about what's going on, I think, up there on the defensive side of the football. I still wouldn't mind seeing them go ahead and make a pick for a defensive lineman, I think, in the draft. But I think all in all, I think they've shored up enough of their things. They need to probably go get some back end guys like the Kyer Elam kid they traded to Dallas. We saw him on skates in the playoffs against Kansas City. He just wasn't there, and it's just not been a good pick for them. It hasn't worked out. So they're going to have to go get some back end guys, I think, to allow those guys up front to have some more time to get after the quarterback. It's kind of a give and take thing, right? You got to have the guys that can stay close enough to the guys that are running downfield for 2.5 to 3 seconds to give the Bosas and the Russos and the Olivers of the world a chance to go get Mahomes or whomever, right? It's a give and take relationship between those two.
Okay. Well, Bryan Munson, Husker Online, is with us, and he's here to talk about recruiting. So we should ask some recruiting questions. I'm not the recruiting guy, but at Rhule's press conference this week, he did sort of talk about, hey, if the kids ask me when we're going to wear the cool jerseys, I got to have some cool jerseys for them to wear, even if the fans don't like the cool jerseys. Like, we're trying to win here. Can you sort of take us behind the curtain into that balance that he has to work with?
Well, I think the difference here is, or people. Let me try to figure out a way to kind of put this into some context. People that are 20 to 35, maybe even 40, they probably can't remember a day that the Oregon Ducks weren't a good football team. They haven't always been a good football team, right? They were a struggling program until a group of defenders called Gangrene really put them on the map. And then what really helped drive it home was Nike and Knight and what they did with the uniforms. They've got these really cool uniform combinations, and there are guys that know that you can go out there and play, 500 different uniform combinations or whatever it is, when you go out there and play for the Ducks. And the struggle that Nebraska has is that, every time you want to go do something creative, every time you want to go do something that's a little bit different, something that the kids want to go ahead and see, you tamper with tradition. You tamper with the pride of what people kind of go back and they identify, previous players, or just that, that red N that's on the helmet. And that's like the one part that's never been tampered with, even though you kind of, messed around a little bit with, the black helmet or whatever. You've just not gone ahead and said you're going to do something to kind of change that red N up when it's remained on the helmet. So I think that's the difficulty. I think the difficulty there is obviously that you got the scarlet and cream, you got the red and white, you've got these combinations, even red and white wise, that people don't really care for too much. And I think, that it's difficult to kind of come out there and say, we're just going to blow everybody's hair back by unleashing these alternate jerseys, and we're going to wear them, 5 out of the 12 games this season. I think there's a big portion or a big contingent of folks that are Nebraska fans that will not appreciate that. And I think that there's a pride factor there. Like there's a traditional factor there. But there is some kind of keeping up with the Jones that Nebraska kind of has to remember here a little bit, to where those little tweaks, those little things that you can do, they catch the eye. They these 16, 17-year-old, recruits that you're trying to catch their attention. You may have to go ahead and play a little bit in that space, and you're going to be uncomfortable regardless. You just don't want to get completely and totally uncomfortable to where you have to go justify things to other people. So I think that's the catch-22. You want to do something. It can't be too radical, and you can't stay like in that mode week after week. And I think that's what Matt Rhule is kind of talking about.
Bryan Munson joining us from Husker Online. What do I need to know about DeMarco Jenkins?
What do you need to know about DeMarco Jenkins?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, right, where recruiting is about ready to start kicking back off again, right? We're talking about recruits starting to come back in here in the next 2 weeks or so. He's the defensive end from down in South Texas and Pearland, Texas. He's going to be taking a visit, or actually, I don't know if he's actually taking a visit quite yet. I don't think I confirmed it. But a big time recruit, 2027 defensive lineman, 6'3", 270-ish. Has a ton of offers already that people, like A&M. A&M's been they've been on fire. A&M's been crushing it down here in Texas. They've been crushing it across the nation. You got Oklahoma and Baylor and other folks that obviously are after him as well. His stock is still on the rise quite a bit. I think he's the kind of guy that, as Texas kind of starts to get back into the swing of things, there'll be a school that'll start picking up interest on him too. He's just a little too far, I think, south for them to kind of pick up on like the early interest kind of window where they were at. But he's definitely a guy that I think they would get back down to see in April. Dynamic defensive lineman, a guy that Nebraska, would definitely has their eye on for the 2027 class. But yeah, I think though, when you start talking about recruiting kicking back up again, you start talking about I think it's like March 26th is the first day that recruits will start getting back on campus for Nebraska. And you got Ryan Moret, who's a big time interior offensive lineman from Miami, Florida. And then the next day you bring in probably your top 2027 quarterback on your board with Trey Taylor. And Taylor's doing the whirlwind kind of tour right now. I think he was at LSU before. Can't remember where he's been to even more recently than that, but he is hitting 6 or 7 schools throughout the month. And these are big visits for him because he turns back around and decides to make his commitment in the month of June. That was his original intentions or his original timeline. So Nebraska gets their chance to swing on him here in a couple of weeks, and those are going to be some big visits. Moret is a really interesting one because the 2026 interior offensive lineman, just won the heavyweight state wrestling title in Florida. He's an all-state selection as an interior offensive lineman. And I know that Nebraska fans love dipping down there into South Florida and getting kids out of South Florida to come to Lincoln. He is really kind of regarded as, kind of a Miami, trending towards Miami kind of guy. He's the kind of kid, though, that I could actually see him leaving, South Florida to go somewhere. So keep an eye on that one, because I think that that's kind of an interesting thing with him. And obviously, Nebraska, they've got some extra hands working in Florida this year, which will be big for them.
And who else might Nebraska turn their attention towards as the recruiting opens back up?
Yeah, you need to pay attention to Keegan Croucher. So when they host Trey Taylor on the 27th, 2 days later, they bring in probably what would be the next guy up on their quarterback board, which is really interesting, because both Croucher and Taylor are trending to Michigan. So it's like one of those things. Well, Michigan can't take both of them, so therefore we'll go ahead and figure out who else is on kind of the board. And they looked at him, and Croucher's only been talking to Nebraska for maybe about a month and a half or so. And he's going to take that trip to Nebraska on Saturday, March 29th without an offer. I think Nebraska probably would have a decent understanding about where things are at, like with Taylor as he kind of leaves. And I think Nebraska's like the second to last or third to last school on Taylor's list for like the rest of the year. So that is really an interesting thing, that Nebraska's got Taylor and then Croucher coming in 2 days later. But then after you get past Moret, you get in a little bit of a run next weekend, or the week after, April 4th, April 5th. You got like Cameron Wilson coming in for another Miami guy. You get Rex Waterman back, who actually visited for the Elite Junior Day in February. And Luke Wafel, who is an edge out of New Jersey, who's probably going to be a tough pull for Nebraska, just because where he's from. I think his brother just transferred to Penn State.
We love DNs out of New Jersey, though.
I no doubt about it. He is a special one. He's a number 1 rated player in the state of New Jersey for the 2026 class. He's a number 8 guy at the edge position. So he is a big time dude at that spot. Nebraska is not playing around. They're bringing in a lot of big guys, linemen, edge guys. They're bringing in their 2027 quarterbacks. Those are important. And then you do get into some wide receivers and some skill position guys. But then, later in June, here come the official visitors. And they've already got, I think it's about 17, 18, I think I've already confirmed for June. So it's looking pretty good right now. I expect some more guys to kind of get set up here shortly.
These two quarterbacks you mentioned, Trey Taylor and Keegan Croucher, are they what kind of quarterback are they? What style of quarterback are they?
The film is a lot more clear on Taylor, that he's a dual threat guy, but he's really an eyes downfield. He's going to hurt you with his arm first. He's not afraid to kind of break the pocket. The film on Croucher is a little bit more limited. I think he's a little less on the athletic side than like what Taylor is. He's a little taller. He's 6'3", Taylor 6'1". I think that the arm talent is pretty equal between the two, which is the reason. And obviously Croucher plays at that really good prep school up in Connecticut. So that is a good situation for him. He's seeing some good ball, so the competition level is there. So it's a little different style. Trey Taylor seems to be a little bit more highly regarded out of the two, but they both have really good teams, both pursuing them. And I think like once Taylor goes like off the board, Croucher becomes incredibly popular.
How do programs assess that, the level of competition that they're playing? Tape is tape. Like if you look good, you look good. But how do they assess that, I guess, is my question.
Yeah, it matters though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it matters in the type of competition that you're playing against. It matters in the type of talent on the field all at one time. It certainly matters because you have a speed of the game that's like an attribute as you're kind of getting ready to kind of jump to the college level, where you wonder where you're not playing against great competition. You're wondering, this guy's got maybe one other college player on the field with him at any one time. He's not playing in a big urban area. He's not playing at a highly regarded, kind of prep school. He seems to be a great athlete, but he does these things that dominate at that level. Does it translate, of course, to the next level? And I think I think that you also have the side that you have to kind of understand too, that, if you're a quarterback, for example, you have the guy that, can make the right passes, make the right decisions, make the right reads, and maybe doesn't have kind of the counterpoint talent to kind of help him out. Maybe all the balls that need to be caught don't get caught, and maybe he doesn't have a consistent, type of, blocking up front with his offensive line, or a consistent run game, or kind of an offense really that would seem to kind of, bring his talents out. They run the same offense with some just kind of new looks, new things like year after year, but maybe it's not tailored to the way, of course, that he could potentially do. And I think that's what really limits, those kids in situations like where you're from. You just kind of get into a system situation and you're kind of stuck to kind of run it. You have to then bring out, I think, the sides about you that make you special as a player, whether it's your athleticism, whether it's when you do get a chance to throw the ball, how well you spin it, and how careful you are, how great of a manager you are on the football field, an extension of the coaching staff. Those are the things I think that you can do to get around the other parts of not having the type of talent around you that you would potentially at another school, at a bigger school in a more populated area, or something like a prep school like that, even like an IMG Academy, or something like that down in Florida, where, you've got D1 guys all the way around you. It essentially is a college football team versus, playing some of these more rural area schools.
Bryan, I feel a million times smarter than when we started talking.
Well, hey, brother, thank you so much for the time today. Good luck with the rest of the show, man, and enjoy your weekend. Don't get blown away. I could tell you guys it should be over for you here in a few hours, hopefully, based on when ours kind of let up finally.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know. Bryan Munson, Husker Online, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Sounds good, buddy. Have a good weekend.
All right, there he is, Bryan Munson. We talk to him each and every Friday about the recruiting game, and he's nice enough to join us on the Connor Happer Show today. Read all his stuff at Husker Online. When we come back, we will talk to Brian Christopherson. Now, that was Brian with a Y that we just talked to. This is Brian with an I that we will talk to. In the next segment, we'll talk to him about again some of the things Matt Rhule had to say at his press conference this weekend. What happens next for Nebrasketball? What even is the crown? Lots to do on a Friday, and we'll do it together. We thank you for joining us here on a Friday. It is the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian. Bryan Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B. Rooney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
The phone rang, but it was not Hap this week. It was me. I'm washing and drying the dishes today like a single mother. It is producer Josh filling in for Connor Happer today, and I'm joined by Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. Bryan, welcome.
How you doing? You staying hydrated?
I am. I have plenty of cups in front of me. One of them has water in it. I'm no longer eating popcorn, so you don't have to deal with that anymore either.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll try to give you 10 to 15 minutes here and move you to the next lap.
That's really all I'm looking for from everybody today.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm good.
What was your takeaway from the big Nebraska football presser earlier this week?
Probably Rocco Spindler really jumped out to me. He's going to be a go-to quote in 25 in his 1 year at Nebraska. You can tell how he will fit in as a leader on that offensive line. I like that Rhule said, even though he's, been on a team that was just in the national championship game and had that success, he gives his input, but he also listens, it sounds like, and is really adapting well to the guys around him. So I think he's going to plug in well at one of the guard spots and also fits the culture. But I thought, all those guys, Deshaun McCull and Dane Key were also up there, presented themselves well, and I think it's probably notable. Rhule, I think, is friendly to the media and likes to give them new stories and stuff like that during this time of year, but also he wouldn't just put up guys who he didn't think were gelling well with what they want to do. And so the fact that Dane and Deshaun and Rocco were up there before spring ball at the podium probably tells you something about those guys.
Yeah. How do we see Rocco progressing, I guess? Cause he was on the Notre Dame team, went to the title game last year. I'm sure he's going to take some of that information and hey, this is what championship teams do, guys, sort of work ethic. Right. But how can he make the guy next to him better?
I think one way he can do that is, if people look back at Rocco's career, he actually had to sit his first 2 years. He was a 4-star recruit, and he didn't get on the field right away. And so if you think about this spring, and there's some young linemen, there's a lot of second, third-year guys who are trying to make that next move and show, hey, it's my turn now. I think it's going to be really useful for them to have someone who has been on the journey that they're going on right now, has had to have patience, and knows that it doesn't come sometimes until year 3 and beyond when you're in the trenches. And I just think that sort of stuff, like after a tough, scrimmage or something, for some of those younger linemen to have a guy like that is going to be really important. And then, when you get to the games, it's just any guy who's played a lot of snaps and is 330 pounds, you feel better about when you get into the Big Ten grind, having that 22, 23-year-old sometimes than the 19-year-old with promise. You know what I mean? So I think those things combined are what makes him such an important addition, at least on paper.
That can actually mean a lot to guys in today's college game, right? Where it's just oh, you're not playing me, I'll go somewhere else. It's fine.
Yeah, definitely. And there's guys there's spring's interesting on the O-line because you have 4 key guys who are out with injury. And so this is a big chance for Sam Sledge, for Jason Machachok, Grant Bricks, some of these second, third year guys. They're going to pile up reps, and they've sort of been on the cusp. Some of them have been on the 2 deep, and now maybe they can push for a starting job. And I do think linemen have to take into account in this portal era that what Rhule said is right. It usually does take until that 3rd year until you're often part of the mix. The old model is still the current model as far as that goes for the trenches. And so guys who get to a program that are big guys, I think would be wise to stick with it for a couple of years. And then you sort of see where you're at after year 3 and maybe you have decisions to make. But until you get to year 3, you're just building up your body and sort of what it takes to even have a chance to compete at this level.
And how are some of those new guys whose job it is to protect Dylan Raiola gelling with the quarterback?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question of the spring is, how those guys do with what they're given. And I think we still don't know the answer to that. And we probably, honestly, those of us on the outside of the walls won't throughout spring ball. We'll get nuggets here and there about maybe someone who's progressing. And hopefully we won't overkill it in the media by overhyping someone when those come out. But I do think there's guys like Justin Evans. He's not a young guy anymore. He's like a 4th-year guy, but I think he's emerged as a leader, and so he's going to be important to bringing some others along with him. I'm really intrigued by Sam Sledge, though. I mean, he's a guy who has seemed like he's tailor-made to be a center. You could have him there. You could have Justin Evans there. And so I think that's one of the storylines of the spring. If we can pick up any nuggets, it's who's where sort of by the end of it, because I do think they might want to try some guys out at some different spots. And so that's something to watch.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 247, joining us here on the Connor Happer show. Any main takeaway from Matt Rhule's, 45 minutes with the media?
He hit on so many topics, it's hard to narrow into one. I just think the biggest thing I get from Rhule, though, this off season, and I've been thinking about this too a lot, is there's some of us of a certain age, I think, who are kind of uncomfortable with the college sports climate and sort of it's just different than we knew it. And so we're having to adjust to it. And I always on the radio, the main thing I think that where I give Nebraska a real fighting chance is I think Rhule has a mindset where he's like, adapt or die. Like some guys say that, but you don't know if they're really going to act upon that. And I just always get the sense when he talks that he feels like whatever's going on in college sports, this can be an opportunity for the University of Nebraska, for athletics, for the football program to emerge when it's all said and done. Maybe it's never quite said and done, but as the dust settles a little bit on whatever's happening with rev sharing and all that, that Nebraska can be one of the leaders. And so I've been thinking about, we're kind of beaten down around here. Like it feels like things haven't quite gone and they haven't gone how people want them to the last decade or so. But this is a moment where amid the shifting landscape, where I do feel like there's a chance for Nebraska to really make a move. And I think Rhule sees that. And he does a good job, I think, of presenting that to his team and to the fan base. So it could be a time, I'm not telling people to do it, but it could be a time to be optimistic, cautiously optimistic about what can happen. We'll see.
Okay, I like that. Optimism. It's okay to be optimistic. I like that from Bryan Christopherson. I guess on that note, I will switch it over to a less optimistic sport at the University of Nebraska, the basketball team. What are we going to do there? Very broad question, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, they also have to now view within their walls, this is opportunity. I mean, they have to go out and make this just a heck of a, it's March Madness in another way for them. The portal opens on the 24th, and I think they've done their research well before this on some possible options. So, I mean, you've got to nail it. You've got to find those, at least 2 or 3 difference makers, I think, in the portal that go with what you have. Ideally, you have Rink Mass back. And I do think, honestly, missing Rink was as big as anything. There were other guys on last year's team with more flair. but what he brought to the table was a big who was at least a threat from the outside. He spread the floor well. He could facilitate well. And so I think his addition could be big for a guy like Connor Sejan. And I know Connor had some tough games, but Connor hit almost as many threes and had the same percentage as Casey last year, actually. The difference in some ways is they didn't have other options beside him where you felt like they could fill it up. They didn't have a Will Church, a Marcus Lawrence who could on occasion go off. So I think that's the big thing, is finding a few more shooters. They hit like 100 less threes this year than last year. And you've got to get back where you feel like, okay, this guy's cold tonight. That's okay, because this guy over here knocks in 4 behind the arc. And they have to have more guys who, are options to do that.
A scale of 1 to 10, your enthusiasm for the crown.
I mean, honestly, it's like a 3, but I don't blame them for playing in it, or, and
sure.
If they want to continue going, and guys are up for it. And as long as it doesn't really get in the way of their portal mission, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't do it if they felt like it was going to take away from that, then I say that's fine. But is the fan base and everyone going to get really fired up about it? No, I don't think so. But
spring break in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. Sometimes there's just events like that happen, and if you're going to go do it, do it well. Get a couple more wins, finish with a better taste in your mouth than you did at the end of the regular season.
All right, there he is, Bryan Christopherson. Thank you. I think we did quite well. We got to the next segment.
All right, I did my job. I'll tag out, and good luck to you.
Thank you. There he is, Bryan Christopherson, Husker 247. Go read everything he writes because it's great, and he helped me. He helped me get to the next segment, and I thought he did a more than admirable job. He was the better of the two speakers in that last segment. So congratulations to Bryan. He can now start his weekend in earnest. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Odd news is next. We'll take a look at, I guess, the lighter side of sports. I do have 3 stories. They're all sports stories today. So no stupid criminals, no truck spills. These are 3 sports stories coming your way next on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
You'll have to excuse me. New Lenardi bracketology just dropped during that break, and I'm poring over it with great interest. I understand Lenardi, not the end-all be-all, maybe not even the best to do it anymore, but I like the graphics. I like the layout. Omaha and Creighton, both in different spots than they were on yesterday's Lenardi bracket. I guess we'll start with Creighton. They have moved. I guess they were a 9 yesterday in Raleigh. They are now an 8 seed, still in Raleigh, but in a different bracket. They were in the East bracket yesterday. Now they're in the West bracket. Their first round match with Baylor right now. They would play Florida with a win in that round of 64. Boy, Creighton playing Baylor and then Creighton playing Florida. That would bring up a lot of memories for Creighton fans. Some good, some bad. And for Omaha, they were in the West bracket in Wichita yesterday as a 15 seed playing Texas Tech. They have moved to, I believe this is the Gary scenario. Gary wanted them to be a 15 seed in Cleveland. That is where Lenardi has them today. 15 seed in Cleveland in the South bracket, playing number 2 Michigan State, which, come on, that'd be fun. Admit it. No hard feelings to Frankie and Michigan State, but that would be a lot of fun for Omaha. But enough of that. This is the odd news with Odd Son. Earlier in the week, Connor really got sad in his feelings about Southwest changing their bags fly free policy in the month of May that is coming. The airline had some fun with it on social media. They posted, was this Facebook or was this Twitter? It looked like a Facebook post that I saw. It was, hey, it's not like we traded Luka. Which, wow, shots fired from Southwest Airlines. Southwest headquartered at Love Field, just 5 miles from the Mavericks' home, the American Airlines Center. So, funny joke. Like, we're having fun with it on social media. But, like, I think about it from this perspective. If you're the Dallas Mavericks, you've made a trade that is so bad, it is now alluded to as like a bad thing, like something, one of the worst things that's ever happened. Like, hey, it's not like I, blew up the Hindenburg. It's not like I, brought London Bridge tumbling down. Like, like things like that. Those aren't necessarily things people say, but it's like, yeah, we can put a man on the moon, but we can't do this. Like, yeah, the Mavericks can trade Luka Doncic, but I can't do this. Like, it's being alluded. Like, this is probably going to like be in the Herschel Walker sphere of bad trades. I don't think it'll probably be that bad when it's all said and done, but like notoriously bad trade that just keeps getting worse with every Dallas Maverick that goes down. We switch to college basketball, I guess, the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City, where a lot of people go for lunch. We learned a lot about BYU star Richie Saunders in yesterday's BYU-Iowa State game. BYU won that game thanks to Saunders. Sorry, Cyclones fans. I'm really not trying to like pour salt in your wound or anything. Led the Cougars with 23 points. And ESPN2 announcer Roxy Bernstein could not have known what would happen in the game, as someone on the broadcast, must have been this King McClure, great name, had some boots on the ground journalism with the BYU star. His great-grandfather invented tater tots. It was revealed on the broadcast that the BYU star's great-grandfather invented tater tots. One of the other people at the table said, "Is this a true story? Because it sounds made up." Invented tater tots? Yes, brothers Theodore Golden Grigg and F. Neffy Grigg, those are old names, founders of Ora Ida, the frozen bag of potatoes that we all know and love, invented tater tots in 1953. One of those people, apparently the great grandfather of BYU basketball player Richie Saunders. Incredible. Just incredible. Final story in the odd news today. Bill Belichick. Got some leaked emails from Bill Belichick at North Carolina already. And if I tell you emails from Bill Belichick have leaked onto the internet, you're probably thinking one thing. I'm here to tell you it's not that thing, it's another. Earlier this week, it was revealed that Bill Belichick has told his staff in an email, hey, for all the scheduling stuff you need me to do, could you CC my girlfriend on this? Jordan Hudson, of course, Bill Belichick's much younger girlfriend. There's nothing wrong with that, but hey, you got to know. We're going to talk about it. I am including Jordan on this email so she can keep up with our postings, the 8-time Super Bowl winning coach wrote in a reply to a senior associate athletic director. Can you include her on anything you send to me? Thanks. Now, a lot of people are using this as a chance to laugh at Bill Belichick, saying, haha, you old man, you can't even keep your schedule straight. You have your girlfriend do it for you. You probably can't even turn on a computer and send an email. You have your girlfriend do it. I'm actually going to come at this from a different angle. Gentlemen, particularly the married guys in the audience, who handles your schedule? Who tells you what you're doing on a Saturday afternoon? Yeah. Doesn't seem like Bill Belichick's so old now, does it? Yeah. Now, his life is very different from your life, probably. You're not a football coach at the University of North Carolina. You're not in Chapel Hill. But there's probably not a large discrepancy in age between you and your wife. But who among us on a Thursday night or a Friday night has not turned to their better half and said, hey, honey, what are we doing this weekend? And then you were told the 3 or 4 things you're doing this weekend. So I actually kind of get it from Bill Belichick's standpoint of like, hey, just tell her the schedule. She'll keep it. My dumb caveman brain can't possibly keep all these appointments straight. So I'm going to cut him a little slack. I'm going to give Bill Belichick a little bit of grace, and I think you should too. Now, there's some other things I don't think we should give Bill Belichick grace on, but that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about those things right now. Who's making the schedules at your house? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. If it's you, the man, that's great. Like, hey, more power to you. I don't have the mental capacity to keep my weekend schedule straight. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing Sunday. I don't know. I don't have the mental capacity for it. I'm talking on the radio for 5.5 hours today. I don't have time to know when the Target run is going to happen this weekend, okay? Again, there's probably not a Target run on Bill Belichick's schedule, but I bet you young Jordan knows when Bill Belichick's getting a new stick of deodorant. Like, I bet you she knows those things in a better way than me. So that's all I'm asking. Just saying, hey, let's not immediately laugh at Bill. Okay? That's the odd news for today. When we come back, we will talk to a young man by the name of Connor Happer. He is in New York City. He ate at Katz's Delicatessen earlier today. I guess we'll ask him about Creighton. We probably should, but I really have more questions about like the city of New York and the food and the bagel he ate. I'm more curious about those things than the Creighton stuff, even though I will fleece him for information to use during Blue Jay shoot around later today, 6 o'clock, 1620 The Zone. You should listen to it because I'll be hosting it and it'll be great. It is the Connor Happer Show. Connor Happer will join us next.
He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Noon hour on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone. Producer Josh filling in for Connor today, who actually joins us from the streets of New York. Hello, Connor.
That's right. Hello. I went outside, so I didn't want to do this from my hotel room where it's quiet and the walls are paper thin and my room is the size of a closet. So I went downstairs. I came outside. It's bright sunshine. I'm on the steps of the Moynihan train station. Right. I'm looking at Madison Square Garden and I'm surrounded by a giant flock of pigeons. So this is going to be great.
Real New York radio.
That's right. That's exactly right. So I need to get we'll see how it goes, but I'm probably going to get my Joel Lorenzi card in this interview. There's going to be some honks.
Honk,
You're going to hear some things. Yeah. So whenever you hear the honks, you'll hear them. They'll come up at some point.
I am so excited. We will get to the basketball. Tell us about the food. I told people that you're going to New York for a bagel and schmear. Have you gotten that bagel yet?
No. I went this morning to a place that my lovely podcast co-host Mitch Sherman recommended to me last time he was here for the Pinstripe Bowl. So I went there and they didn't. I was disappointed they didn't have like a bagel with I just wanted a bagel with cream cheese. They only had bagel sandwiches, so I got a bagel sandwich. But luckily, the trip is extended by another day. I'm here for at least one more morning, so I'll have time. Like it's been great. Like I didn't feel the necessity to like have to eat. I haven't had a New York slice yet, so there's still time. So I'm taking it meal by meal. But today for lunch, I hopped on the train. I took the A down to the F, connected with the F, went to the Lower East Side for a little bit, got some Cat's Deli with I got a half pastrami with a matzo ball soup and a giant pile of pickles.
Yeah, it was a bowl of pickles.
Yeah,
different colored pickles.
The guy I don't even know that he spoke English. And so I went in there and, you go up to the counter or whatever. It's kind of an interesting place if people have been there. Like you walk in, they give you a ticket. And then, there's like 800 people up there, like making sandwiches. And so I go to one of those 800 people. I swear to God, I don't think the guy spoke English. So we just like non-verbally communicated the entire time. Like he definitely heard me when I said, "Here comes a fire truck," by the way. This will be good. So this is all night, by the way. The reason that this is the city that never sleeps is because you can't sleep. There's no sleeping. And so I went, like, the guy definitely understood me when I said half pastrami and matzo ball soup. And then he like pointed. Can you hear that?
No.
All right, not yet. He pointed at this pile of pickles, and he was like, he just pointed at him. I'm like, yeah. And then he like grabbed like 18 pickle spears, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I sat down, and then you like pay as you leave. So that was a hell of a meal. Like it took me like 20 minutes to get down there. I was there for like 15. Sat next to a bunch of people who did not speak English. That's what this place is all about, man. People who don't speak English.
Well, it's an immigrant city, Connor.
It sure is. It sure is. I mean, there's definitely people who do speak English. Like so Midtown or Madison Square Garden. Okay, you definitely heard that,
yep.
Right?
Uh-huh.
There's something going on in the corner of West 31st and 8th right now.
Oh wow.
31st and 8th. But like Midtown, where Madison Square Garden is at, where I'm staying, like it's touristy, like it's like there's nicer kind of places to eat, and there's a couple little hole in the wall places, but it's kind of touristy. So I needed to definitely get out of this area of town for a couple minutes. I'm glad I did.
I guess shifting focus to the basketball, I guess it's why you're there. I guess it's why we're having you on the show. What the hell happened last night?
Dude, I don't know. This truck is about to go right by me.
Ah, heard that.
Yep, you're about to hear it some more. Hang on. That's ladder 24,
Oh,
FDNY.
the real
Shout out
heroes.
to them. Shout out to them boys over there. There's one more fire truck. He's not honking much. I don't know, man. Like, it's crazy. I got here like 24 hours ago, got into the city like 24 hours ago. And then like 18 hours ago, I'm thinking like, all right, I guess they're just not gonna play tonight. Like, I guess they're just not gonna.
Guess I came out here for
whatever.
nothing.
Yeah, whatever that was. And then, so I'm kind of like, second half, I'm poking around a little bit. I'm like, is there a chance that I could get back to Omaha today? And ultimately, like, I scrapped that. And, but, you know, they made the run. They got it like 54, 51, I think. And then DePaul stretched it back out to 60, 51. And I'm like, okay, they had their shot and missed it.
Ran out of time.
Yeah, so I went downstairs to do the post-game interviews, and there's 2 minutes left. There's a minute and a half left or something like that, and that's when it got wild. They started, making every shot. Ashworth hit the shot, that tied the game, got it to overtime, and then, you thought you had it clinched in overtime up by, 6 or 8, and couldn't put them away. And Ashworth is fouled out of the game, and Ty Davis is out there making plays. I have no idea. Like, that was basically the question to everybody that I talked to. How did that happen? And that was the response, including from Mac, is like, I don't really know. I don't know how that happened. So that's I don't know what to chalk it up to. Everybody was definitely dead tired. So I'm curious to see what the heck that's going to be like tonight, because I mean, the UConn crowd in the UConn-Villanova game afterwards last night was nuts. So today's going to be even more so, I think.
We'll get to UConn and Hell in a Cell 3 in a second, but I mean, let's kind of talk about it. It really all fell on Kalkbrenner's shoulders for a large stretch of that game until Ty Davis started hitting some shots late. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the note from Rob Anderson. No one in a conference tournament has ever had a game like that since Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, it was available. They kept running the same set. I think they ran the same set maybe like 6 to 8 times in late game. Well, probably not in late game, but in overtime and double overtime, where it's their main offense basically. But they run Ty through, and then they get Fedor isolated on the left wing, and just so they can get a clean look to Kalkbrenner inside, and the double comes every time. And basically it's either going to be a dunk or a foul or a layup, or, you miss the shot, and, Jackson McAndrew flies in and grabs an offensive rebound and puts one back up and gets a bucket. Like, that was pretty much the, where Creighton went last night, and for good reason. Like, he's the guy that they're going to go to tonight too. And it'll be crazy to see what Kalkbrenner is going to be able to do tonight. But I mean, that was, when I think about that game, like, it's funny because Kalkbrenner had like you said, one of the best games in Big East tournament history, or like conference tournament history. But like, I don't think that's the first thing that I'm going to think about when I think about last night's game. like, wow, what a night for rank. Maybe that'll be the headline of it forever. But, I'll think about, like, Ty Davis making free throws and coming in, and Stephen Ashworth fouling out, and Fedor making 2 huge threes, and Ashworth's long 3. And meanwhile, Kalkbrenner's there with 31, 9, and 5 blocks. And you're like, oh yeah, I guess that had to happen too in order for Creighton to beat DePaul last night, which is crazy. It was DePaul too. They were making crazy shots in the first half, and they banked in a 3 in overtime. You're like, God, he can't kill these guys. But I don't know. DePaul's going to be interesting in the next couple of years. Off of what they did, I think, here in New York and at the end of the season this year.
Did last night finally give us the Fedor Zugic game you've been calling for all season?
That was probably it, right?
Right.
That was. I don't know if that's the one, but I have been, like predicting like there's going to be a Fedor game. There's going to be a Fedor game. That, I mean, in the absence of Jemiah, scoring as much as they probably, and being as active with the basketball as they probably want him to be, it's been, I mean, he was huge last night, just making plays confidently. It was cool to see those last 2 minutes and then the overtime, like right behind the Creighton bench and, really close because you could just see how confident he was in those moments. That has not been him really all year. I mean, he has to kind of fit into the plan defensively for them too, and that's why you see his minutes being a little bit sporadic and maybe not as much as you want him to. But I don't know how you keep that guy off the floor right now. Like he's doing a lot of good things for this team.
Big picture, what was it like to watch a basketball game at Madison Square Garden?
It's a crazy place. Like, okay, so I'll work on that video that you have tasked me with this afternoon when I have some time. But like, first of all, like that's the first thing when you go in there. You walk in from the ground level or what appears to be the ground level, and it's actually the 5th floor because there's a whole underground. There's a train station. It's right above Penn Station. There's a train station right below you. There's like a mall basically right below you.
I've seen the Lost World Jurassic Park. I know that a large portion of Madison Square Garden is underground.
It's crazy. And then you go up and it might from the floor level, like it might look like the bridge. So there's a bridge, and it's above the highest level of seats. It's like on the ceiling, but it's kind of looking straight down at the floor. Like it's not that it doesn't feel like it when you're up there. There's seats like behind that. The upper level of seats is behind that. I mean, there's so many different levels and decks and areas to sit in. So there's that piece of it. You're trying, like, I'm the kind of person who has to get like super oriented with the environment. Like I got to know where I'm pointing at all times. You know that. So like that was the first thing yesterday. And then the atmosphere is crazy. Like there's just, the buzz is not replicable. Like today is going to be insane with St. John's in one game and UConn in the other game. St. John's fans weren't really here yesterday because they played in the first game and people weren't off work yet or whatever. But UConn fans obviously showed up and took the train down, and it'll be like that tonight. And it's dark and like it's dark. It's like a theater, kind of atmosphere where the seats are dark and the court is lit up a little bit, but even the court is not nearly as bright as we're accustomed to in Omaha or in Lincoln or whatever. It's so unique. It's so cool. I love the speed and the pace of like everything that happens, and you got to get adjusted to it. Like it's a real thing. That was one of the things that I brought up with Ty Davis last night. It's like stepping into his first, like, it's a second Madison Square Garden game, but like just getting, comfortable in that environment. I think that was a big part of the first half for Creighton, just kind of, just feeling all that stuff out. It is a unique place. That's for sure.
Gus could not stop talking about the shellacking or lacquer. He wasn't sure which it was of the court at Madison Square Garden.
Really?
Yes.
What was he talking about last night? I heard I saw a lot of tweets about Gus and the things that he was talking about. He was pretty fired up, it sounded like.
Yeah, he was pretty fired up. He was talking a lot about Muay Thai. He was talking a lot about the new, like, oh, this court looks freshly shellacked or lacquered. I'm not sure which. And he kept asking. He's like, "Was that an onions? Like, come on, was that an onions last night?" Like, he's like, "Come on, that move, that wasn't an onion." He was like, really
was trying to draw an onions out of Bill Raftery.
He was.
That's good for him. Gus is wild. The court, yeah, it is. It's like kind of. It definitely was.
It's very shiny.
It was shiny. It was shellacked. I guess that's part of the Big East tournament, I suppose. Yeah, Gus. I don't know how many Big East games Gus has done this year.
Not many.
Less than a handful. and he just pops in for the tournament, and it's perfect because he could just yell. He doesn't know really any of the players or what's going on, but he could just be like, "Oh," that's it. It definitely warranted that in the games yesterday.
Does Creighton have anything left in the tank for tonight?
I don't know, man. Like that was the prevailing thought after last night, thinking, "Oh, they're gonna be dead today."
Mhm.
But
I mean, they're
I don't
young
know.
kids, but
Yeah, it's a tournament setting. Like they've been there before. They played on back-to-back days in situations kind of like this or every other day. So I don't know. I think I guess it goes one of two ways. Either that's the thing we're talking about, or like last night helped them, and got them feeling a little bit more comfortable, and now you could just go out and sort of play. I guess the first, I don't know, few minutes might tell us the answer to that question, but they found a way to make up for it when they clearly weren't locked in at the start of yesterday's game. So, I don't know. I don't have a real feeling. Obviously, UConn's playing pretty well right now. Caravan is playing better basketball, and those guys are going to be, totally juiced up because they don't like Creighton, and their fans will be here. Their
Store
people
South
don't like Creighton. Yeah, it'll be pretty wild in there. But I guess if I'm leaning one way or the other, I guess I would expect Creighton to be pretty locked in and ready to go tonight. Like Jemai didn't come off the floor. He played 50 minutes. Kalkbrenner was out there basically the whole game. Ashworth missed most of overtime and the second overtime. So I don't know if you could say that he's going to be fresh, but like he left some out there last night. He was ice cold for the majority of the game until he makes the shot late. I don't know. I feel like they'll be okay in that regard tonight. That's just a guess, though.
All right, I'll get you out of here on this later in the show after we talk to Sipple, who will definitely answer the phone and talk to me.
Totally.
Definitely. We're going to do top 5 pies because today is Pie Day.
Oh.
March 14th. You're familiar with pie, right? Math?
I know of pie, yes.
Okay. What are your favorite pie or pies?
Is cheesecake pie?
Ooh, wow. Was not prepared for that. I don't think so.
Probably not, right?
Right.
I guess cheesecake is just cheesecake.
Are you going to get a New York cheesecake? Those are pretty famous, right?
If there's a dessert option, it's probably going to be a cannoli.
Oh, sure.
Probably go that way.
God, that sounds amazing right now.
Yeah, you never know. I don't love pie.
I thought that was your sense of pie. I don't know why I had that feeling about you. Maybe we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I don't love pie. I don't love cake. So I don't know. Like I'd go for a cheesecake though. Like I know that's not what you're asking. Curious to see what number, what that top 5 looks like. I'll probably tune in for that. That sounds like a pretty good bit.
Well, you can download the radio replay at 1620thezone.com. Connor,
maybe I'll listen live.
Oh, wow. No shortage of ways to do that.
Say it again.
No shortage of ways to do that.
Exactly. There's plenty of ways to do that. I'm going to walk over probably with John and when he gets ready for his show here in a little bit. So I'll be in the building. All right. Looks like I just got a tweet from Platcat.
Hi, Platcat.
Cheesecake is not pie. All right. So cheesecake.
It's settled.
Cannot be an answer, apparently. So I don't know. Like pumpkin pie. I guess I would eat some pumpkin pie.
Nice. That is definitely on the list.
I don't mind like a key lime pie, but it's got to be cold.
Great take.
Yeah, that's it. I guess that's it in terms of pie for me.
I will leave you with what you are missing here in the building today.
Oh, yes. I heard about the big St. Patrick's Day situation.
Let me fill you in on what the hallway currently smells like.
Oh, no.
Chris's dogs.
Oh, no.
One of them did a thing in the hallway.
Pooped?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the staff are enjoying a St. Patrick's Day lunch filled with corned beef, potatoes, carrots, cabbage, and rye bread.
Definitely doesn't sound smelly at all. Oh my God, these pigeons are flying right at me. It doesn't sound smelly. Popcorn I heard was involved in this. It's still Popcorn Friday, also, right?
Yes, I'm still working on my bag of popcorn.
Gosh, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does not. I mean, I don't know. It could be more smelly than what I'm smelling right now, which is
That's true.
A cacophony of items, and just general New York City things. But shout out to all of our noses for smelling all the worst things over the last 24 hours.
All right. Connor, you are going to be kind enough to join me during shoot around and talk about actual basketball things.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I appreciate you. Have fun in New York. That's why you're there. Remember that.
Why am I here? Basketball or just being in New York?
Well, I mean, take your pick.
Yeah. So last night, Stibbs hit me up. He was like, "What are you doing? Why are you at this next basketball game?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. Like, it's a good game. Like, I like basketball. That's kind of why I'm here. But I understand, and I don't want to stray too far away. Like, I can't I can't see everything. So, you get to see what you get to see. But no, thank you, Josh, for stepping in and taking care of things today. It's greatly appreciated, and we'll talk some hoops in a little while. I'm excited.
All right, there he is. Thank you, Connor. We love you.
Okay, goodbye. Love you all.
There he is, Connor Happer, host of the Connor Happer Show, weekdays 10 to 2 right here on 1620 The Zone. If you tuned in and you wanted a little more basketball talk from Connor, you'll get that during shoot around today, 6:00 on 1620 The Zone. He will join me live from New York City, probably inside the halls of Madison Square Garden, so to speak. And we'll talk more X's and O's than we talked about here. We like to have fun here, after all. It is the Connor Happer Show. I believe, we'll step aside and we will call Steve Sipple. Will he answer? I don't know. So I will have something else locked and loaded if he doesn't answer. Either way, it's going to be a great segment coming up next on the Connor Happer Show. Josh Hodson filling in for him today on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
Hike. The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha! Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Connor Happer's show on 1620 The Zone. We thank Connor for joining us on his own show in the last segment. He's not here anymore, but he did want me to pass along a hello to our next guest of Husker Online, Steve Sipple. Steve, welcome. Connor says hello.
Well, he's my son, so he should say hello.
You've taught him a lot about respect. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Josh.
I guess let's get down to business. This week in Lincoln, the Matt Rhule, the football team, they held some media availability. What did you take anything away from that? What was the big picture idea there?
There's a lot. I mean, it was Matt Rhule speaking for 40 minutes, so he covered a lot of ground. And then it was three high-profile transfers, whom Rhule clearly felt comfortable putting at a podium in front of a burgeoning media corps. You know, Rocco Spindler, Dane Key, and Deshaun McCullough. I mean, it's no really small matter. You know, I mean, for people, when I say burgeoning, I mean, there's got to be 50 people, you know, in that room with mics. So there's a lot there, but there's a lot of takeaways, Josh. I mean, which direction would you like to go?
I guess I'd like to hear your thoughts on what Rhule said during that 40 minutes. I mean, I know he covers a lot of ground in those things, but what interested you most, I guess?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I think what he said about Dylan was interesting. I mean, that, you know, that pair, I guess the overall comments about Holgorsen, Dana, and Dylan were most interesting to me. The comments about Dylan, you know, taking the next step as a leader. Last year when he came in, he wasn't very vocal. I think Dylan felt it wasn't really his place to come in as a freshman and be a vocal leader. Well, now he's got a year under his belt, and he will be expected to be a vocal leader, and I think Dylan will be good at it. I mean, Dylan's verbal. Dylan's very intelligent, and I think that, you know, but there's a challenge there. It's not easy, Josh, you know, to challenge guys. It's not easy telling people what they don't want to hear, right? So that's a big step for Dylan. And then, you know, he talked about Dylan's body composition and said Rhule said you can't be a great quarterback at 240. I don't know that Rhule meant that Dylan got to 240. I think you could interpret it. I read the quote back just a little bit ago. Maybe you'd interpret it that way, but you wouldn't have to interpret it that way. The point is, they wanted him to lose some weight. And, you know, if you're just being sort of simple about it, you know, you gotta, sometimes he's going to have to take off on third down and get first downs, not get short of the stick, get to the stick. And sometimes that's just a matter of a few final steps and bursts. And you probably have a better chance if you're 220 than if you're 230. Dylan was listed at 230 last year. And as far as Holgorsen goes, I thought that was an interesting question. Did Holgorsen change the culture on the offensive side, Dana Holgorsen? And Rhule was quick to kind of shoot that down. He said, no, the culture wasn't the issue. And to sum it up, what Rhule said was the issue was the playbook was too expansive. So those were the things that kind of that's what was most interesting. There's a lot of interesting things, but those were the most interesting things.
Too expansive of a playbook. Are we going to pare that down in the fall, or are we going to bring Dylan up to the level where he doesn't feel that the playbook's too expansive.
No, they'll bring it down.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Dylan. He could handle an expansive playbook.
That's what we were told, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he could. That wasn't Dylan. I don't think it's a Dylan issue. I think it's just an issue of. I can remember the conversations, right? In November, Josh, when Dana Holgerson arrived on the scene. That was one of the first things he identified as an issue. We just got too many plays. There's just too much there, and he immediately began to pare it down. Now he's going to keep the same language. He's not going to change the language. It's the same offense. He's just gonna. And when I say pare it down, I bet it is. I don't know. Significant, I guess is the word. Significantly pared down. Pared down by a long way. And the conversation makes a lot of sense to me. And I bet it makes sense to you and anybody who. I don't think you have to be Bill Parcells to understand what we're talking about here. It never looked like the offense really had you always kind of wonder what it was trying to do, like you didn't
no identity.
Know. Yeah, I hate that word, but it's true.
You do. I remember that. I'm sorry.
No, it's just because I've been doing it. I guess maybe the reason I hate it is because I've been having that. Josh, think about it. I'm 58. I've been having that identity conversation on offenses for 30 years.
Maybe tendencies is a better word.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it is. That's the crux of the issue.
GM, every program's got one now. What is Nebraska's GM going to do for the uninformed?
Oh, nothing big. You just got to construct the roster. I mean, it's an amazing conversation. If you read, I wish I had the job title in front of me as it was laid out in the university press release. I would invite people to, or read on free, read the article I wrote about Pat Stewart. But if you read them, if you just go read the news release of, announcing his position as being official, there's a paragraph in there that states what his duties are. And it is an incredible paragraph. And all the paragraph shouts to me is he's going to make $1 million at the minimum, I would think. I mean, maybe 800,000 or something like that, but it's got to be a big number because his duties are incredible. He is. When I say he's in charge of constructing the roster, I'm not exaggerating too much at all. He's in charge of constructing the roster. So it's a massive job. I mean, it's a job that is very provocative in my mind because it elicits all these thoughts like, how often are we going to be able to talk to him? Because he's going to be, if they're failing at a position, it's not going to be, so how much of it is going to be on the position coach and how much is it going to be on the GM? If they come up short at edge rusher, it used to be, you talk to the head coach, and then of course there's an assistant coach that's in charge of that. Now, I don't know now. I mean, if the GM, for instance, if they're looking at 4 different players and they can take 2, and the position coach says these are the 2 I want, but the GM says no, we're taking these 2. Okay, all right. So now, if it doesn't work, that should be on the GM, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely more of a sort of a pro mentality. Assistants in the NFL, they get players handed to them to work with. They don't pick the players.
Sure.
So now in college, it's always been a little different. In college, it was always, the assistants were in charge of their position group for the most part. And a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, they're in charge of procuring talent. Now it's, Josh, the beauty of your show and my show and everybody's show is that we're trying to make sense of all of this massive change in real time. And it's a wonderful challenge.
Forgive me for getting a little personal here. You sound sniffly. Are you okay?
I don't know. Am I okay? No, but my health is fine.
Did you take the bike out and you got a little sickness from being out in the elements?
That I can't ride my motorcycle without getting sick.
I don't know. I don't know what your life is like.
I feel pretty good. I guess, by Friday, since you asked, by Friday, I'm always a little run down, but it's funny you say that because I don't feel bad.
Well, good.
Maybe a little sniffly, but
Okay.
not overly.
Okay. What are you getting into this weekend?
What am I getting into? Oh, my sister has a birthday. I think I might have to come up to Crime Town, and that'd be Omaha, and partake in that if I can get away from work. But just kind of, not knock on wood, not that busy of a weekend.
Okay. You gonna watch some hoops? You like basketball more than you let on, right?
Yes, I do. I will watch. God, yeah, definitely. I'm glad you even mentioned it. Definitely watch the Big Ten tournament. Looking forward to watching those games today and tomorrow.
What direction do you think Nebrasketball goes?
Hard to tell. Well, they're going to go to it's pretty clear they're going to go to the Crown.
Sure.
The college basketball Crown tournament, as you and Happer, I'm sure, have discussed. And from there, I wouldn't be surprised if they play well, kind of keeping with the unpredictable nature of Nebraska basketball. But yeah, I think they'll play in Vegas. And I don't know too much about that tournament, and I'm not that interested in it, to be honest. It'll be during the big tournament, the dance, which is, that'll have my attention.
All right. Well, I will leave you to get your sister a nice card and a nice gift. We thank you for joining us today, Steve.
Josh, you say very grown-up things. I appreciate that.
No one's ever called me a grown-up before, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Pretty grown up. You're getting there. Okay.
All right. Someday I'll get there all the way. Thank you, Sipple.
See you, Josh. Bye.
All right. Steve Sipple, Husker Online. What a guy. What a mensch. Called me a grown-up. But he did also call Omaha Crime Town. That is, I do need to be factually accurate. In the eyes of the Connor Happer Show and 1620 The Zone, Lincoln is officially designated as Crime Town, USA. When we return, it is March 14th. That makes it Pie Day. It is time for a top 5 list, the definitive ranking of pies. We will continue to chap the hides of our listeners with our food takes next on the Connor Happer Show. 1620 The Zone.
I'm a fabulous driver.
The Connor Happer Show.
I'm one of the best friends you could ever have in your life.
On 1620 The Zone.
I hate you.
Crank up the excitement at the Kiss Me I'm a Biker St. Patrick's Day Bash this Saturday at Lus Hills Harley-Davidson. Unleash your Irish luck with a chance to win a brand new Street Glide by cracking the code. Enjoy DJ tunes, savor delicious corned beef and cabbage, and snag free raffles and prizes all day. No green bike needed, but bring your green gear. Join us off I-29 at the Glenwood exit. Everyone's a little Irish and a lot badass at Lus Hills Harley-Davidson.
If you are an Omaha resident and between the ages of 45 and 74, get a free colon cancer screening kit by visiting omahacolonkit.com. During the month of March, the Colon Cancer Task Force is offering a free at-home screening kit to all Omaha residents ages 45 to 74. Visit omahacolonkit.com to get yours. Colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the United States, and it's highly preventable with regular screening and early detection. omahacolonkit.com.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Final segment of hour 3 here on 1620 The Zone. Connor Happer Show. Producer Josh, an adult, according to Stephen M. Sipple, filling in for Connor today, who is, walking around the streets of New York looking for a slice, a cannoli. Feel bad for him. He seemed a little disappointed by the bagel earlier, but we got real work to do. We've talked to our guests. We've had 4 guests on the show. I've revealed no takes about anything I have, so it is time on this day, March 14th. Nerds call it Pi Day, P-I. It's a math thing. What does it mean? I don't really know, but I know it's a Darren Aronofsky movie. Still don't know it. I still don't remember what pi means, but it is my time to share with you the top 5 flavors of pie. Baymon comments in on the YouTube page. Hi, Baymon. This better not be another Little Debbie top 5 situation, Josh. I'm watching you. I don't know what Baymon's talking about. The top 5 Little Debbie flavors was spot on, and I'm the only one brave enough to say the things I said about Little Debbie's. I will now say brave things about pie that the audience will overreact to and call us 1620 the bad food takes again, but it's okay. I can handle the heat because I know in my heart of hearts that I am correct. And you, the audience, are the one who is wrong.
God, come on. Take forever.
Number 5.
Top 5 flavors of pie. Number 5, pecan pie. Pecan pie, if you prefer. This is a flavor of pie I've only recently fallen in love with. Didn't like it growing up because why would a child like pecan or pecans? One time I went to a Waffle House and ordered pecan on my waffle, and she said, "You mean pecan?" And it humbled me a lot more than you would think. So I like a pecan pie. You can put some bourbon in it. It's delicious. You can put some chocolate in it. It's delicious. You do one, do the other, do both. Doesn't matter. It lends itself to like a couple different combinations where some of the other flavors, like a blueberry or an apple or a cherry, you kind of just go with that one flavor. Like I know a lot of people are like, strawberry rhubarb, strawberry rhubarb. You could do strawberry rhubarb. That's two things. I prefer pecan. That's just me. Okay. We're off and running now. Top 5 pies. Number four. If you caught my earlier conversation with host of the Connor Happer Show, Connor Happer, if you didn't, you can hear it on the radio replay page, 1620thezone.com. Give us your clickies. Give us your clicks. He alluded to a take that I was going to unleash on the audience here. I feel a lot better about it now. Number 4 is key lime pie, and Connor is absolutely correct. It has to be cold. You give me a warm key lime pie, I'm going to spit in your face. I'm going to throw it right back at you. Don't give me a warm key lime pie. Give me cool, cold key lime pie. It's got that unique flavor. It just hits a little different than some of the other fruit pies. It has its place. It like every week I'm not getting a key lime pie. There are certain instances where a key lime pie is the right pie. Foot of snow on the ground, probably not going for key lime pie. Nice spring day, nice summer day, key lime pie, very refreshing. And that is the purpose of the key lime pie.
3. Combination of 3 and 5.
Number 3.
Top 5 pies. Number 3. This is also a seasonal pie, pumpkin. And to the people who make pumpkin pie and, you know, the holiday people, we're starting to do a thing. Beers have done this. Beer drinkers in the audience are going to know what I'm talking about. You used to only be able to get like a summer beer or an October beer in the summer months, in the like a summer shandy. You used to only be able to get it like May to September. An Oktoberfest beer you used to only be able to get in like September and October. Well, now they're like, well, these beers sell. People like these. So we drag it out. Like Valentine's Day, you start seeing the summer shandies on the shelf. March 1st, you start seeing those summer beers out. And it's like, no, too early. Too early. Now, this run of nice warm weather we've had, there's probably been some days where drinking a summer beer like that is nice, but it's strictly a summer beers in the summer, October beers in October. And we're starting to do this with pumpkin pie where, oh, pumpkin pie is a Christmas pie. You can have pumpkin pie at Christmas. Well, it started as a Thanksgiving treat. You know, now you start seeing them in the stores like, hey, it's Labor Day. Would you like your Labor Day pumpkin pie? No, I would not. I'd like it on Thanksgiving, and I'd like to stuff myself with it for a week and then be done with it. It's a delicious pie, but it has its place, and it should stay in that place. It's a role player pie, and it is an excellent role player pie. There are excellent role players throughout the history of sports who didn't need to become the main thing to become a star, and pumpkin pie is that.
Here comes 2. Number 2.
Getting into the nitty gritty here. Top 2 flavors of pie. Which way is he going to go? I know many of you are wondering with bated breath. Number 2 is apple. And it is for this reason. When an apple pie is done correctly, it is the best pie. However, a lot of bad or mediocre, a lot of mid as hell apple pies out there. So that brings it down in my book to number 2. A lot of you are passing around bad apple pies, and you don't know it. No one has the wherewithal to tell you this apple pie is mid. This apple pie could be better, because it's not bad. Like it has a high floor, I guess would be what I'm saying about apple pie. You got to throw some cinnamon in there. If you could throw some of that, I don't know, it's like a crumble topping on your apple pies, that would be great. If you could all start doing that, take a pen, write that on your grandma's recipe card. Don't worry, she won't be offended. You're making other people happy, and that's what grandmas live for, is to make other people happy. So if you have your grandma's recipe card for apple pie and it's been handed down from generation to generation, and it's okay to make it your own. Grandma wants you to be happy, and she wants the people you're feeding to be happy. Okay? Glad we had that difficult conversation about apple pie, which leads us to the number 1 pie, the best pie on Pie Day.
Make it so, number 1.
Number 1.
Look, I got to go cherry pie here. Controversial, I know. The phrase is American as apple pie. I understand why some people would be shouting at their radios right now that apple pie is not number 1, or whatever pie you like. Cherry pie. That is the pie for me. It always hits. Little baking tip again. I gave you a baking tip on the last one. I'll give you a baking tip here. How many pies have I baked in my life? I don't know. I could probably count them on one hand, but I've eaten a lot of pies, so I know what I like. Put a little bit of almond extract in there. You'll thank me later, okay? Cherry pie. The best pie. I will not be taking questions at this time. Oh, that reminds me. I was going to ask Connor why the first thing he ate in New York was a chicken teriyaki sandwich. It seemed like a bad move, but oh, well, I guess I will get to talk to him during Blue Jay shoot-around today at 6 o'clock on 1620 The Zone. Let's, I guess we'll mill through your comments here. Baymon was very concerned about my pie rankings, so we'll go through his comments here. After the 5th place pie, he said, acceptable start. I'd have pecan pie higher, but 5 is perfectly fine. Now we're off the rails again. Key lime ahead of pecan. Criminally bad take. Pumpkin pie is the DH of pies. Solid. Good take on apple pie. Homemade is usually good. Store-bought, not so much. Although I still love a dirty Hostess apple pie. All right. Hold on. Bear with me here, audience. Go into the Twitter at Happer Show. Poll question up. Do you still love a dirty Hostess apple pie? I don't know what he's talking about, and I know what he's talking about exactly, all at the same time. That poll question is up at Happer Show. You can vote on it. Do you still love a dirty Hostess apple pie? Cherry over apple, rough, but I can accept it. Patrick comments in, pumpkin is the Jason Green of pie. Jason Green. See, Jason Green's not out there trying to be Stephen Ashworth or Ryan Cockbrenner. He's Jason Green. We love Jason Green. He does important work, but he's not the main guy, right? Omaha says, nope. Pecan is number 1. Travis comments in from Texas. Cherry pie? Such a provocative choice. Back-to-back solo show has finally broken him mentally and spiritually. I would argue, Travis, I've never felt better because it is 1 o'clock and I haven't said a thing. I've been talking to guests. This is the first time I've shared an opinion of anything that happened since the last show that I did. When we come back, we will. Still plenty of room to yell at me about my food takes. Josh O at 1620thezone.com. Tweet the show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Happer Show. The email is brought to you by Old Man Doug and the fine folks at Equitable Bank. We will preview tonight's Creighton game. We'll also get into the weekend of baseball for the in-state schools. Kind of a sneaky big weekend for all three of our in-state squads. We'll cover that and more. A lot to do and only an hour to do it. We'll do it next on 1620 The Zone. Connor Happer Show. Producer Josh Hodson in the big chair today. Well, I'm actually in the same chair because I'm also producing, so I don't get to go over to the talent side of the desk. It looks nice over there. I'd love to sit over there someday. And I guess I will for Blue Jay shoot around tonight. So I will get the full experience that so many of our fine talent here get that for some reason I don't get later today at 6:00 when we begin our total team coverage of Creighton and their quest for their first ever Big East tournament title. 6:00 shoot around. John Bishop takes you inside Madison Square Garden at 7:30 for an 8:00 tip. Jimmy Allen has Blue Jay overtime after the game. As always, he is live in New York City as well. Let's see. Before we get to a preview of UConn, let's cover the fallout from my top 5 list of pies on Pie Day. Got a lot of variations of this one. We'll read Scott's text word for word. No chicken pot pie or pizza pie? Well, Scott, first of all, let's just let chicken pot pie, disgusting. Get it out of here. It's gross. No, it never would never. Let's just put it, I'll keep it simple and put that there. Pizza pie. Now, do we mean like a pizza, like a New York, like a pizza pie? You want a pizza pie? Didn't think of that because I'm not Connor. I'm not a New York guy. A lot of people did suggest like a calzone being a qualifies as a pie. Hadn't thought of that. While I guess that would qualify as a pie, it feels like in the spirit of the list of top 5 pies that doesn't qualify, right? Like, how do we? I guess I'm not ready to wrap my head around a calzone qualifying as a pie. Chicago deep dish, that a lot of people call that a casserole, and a casserole is not a pie. Teresa and Bayman, thank you for being on my side on chicken pot pie. Too many foods touching each other. Maybe Teresa's making fun of me. I don't care. That is the correct take. Why would you just glob all those foods together? Who's the first person that was like, you know what? I bet you if I put chicken and gravy and carrots and peas, I could bake it into a pie. The hell's wrong with you for trying that? You mad scientist. Don't do that. You're a wild man. Your powers can be used elsewhere, Mr. Chicken Pot Pie inventor. Let's see. French silk was also a pie. Many people had questions about Jeffrey in particular. No shepherd pie or French silk. I will refer you to my chicken pot pie take, and we'll just copy and paste that for shepherd pie. French silk. So French silk feels like cheating, right? Like if I want chocolate on chocolate on chocolate like that, like I feel I can get that delivered in a better vehicle. Now, don't get me wrong, French silk pie, very good. I ate hundreds of pounds of French silk pie, I imagine, in junior high and high school. Probably explains a lot about why I look the way I look right now, but I'm not ready to deal with that either. So we're just going to put that off to the side. I feel like there's a lot of candy bars now where I can get chocolate on chocolate on chocolate and just have a quicker delivery of different types of chocolate. I feel the game has changed a little in that way. Those things weren't really available to me in junior high the way they are now. John texting into the show. I'm going to read the text as John wrote it, okay? This is John's opinion, not mine. I would never, quote, a calzone is not a pie, morons. I don't know, something about that tickles me just right. But hey. We got business to tend to. Tonight, Creighton, their arch rival UConn, when these two hook up, it allows us to play this drop.
Hell in a Cell.
Tonight, Madison Square Garden sees its second cage match of the week. That's right, wrestling fans know what I'm talking about. Monday night, inside of Madison Square Garden, Seth Rollins and CM Punk met inside a steel cage. And tonight, Greg McDermott and Dan Hurley will do the same in the Big East semifinal. It is the third matchup between these two teams this year. We call if you're new to the show or you don't know why we're calling it Hell in a Cell, these two teams don't like each other. When they get together, it is always a rough and tumble physical affair. So Connor, the not wrestling guy, dubs this matchup of rivals Hell in a Cell, and I, the wrestling fan, allow it. 68-63 win at UConn. Both the road teams won in this year's two meetings. Jay's getting the first one in Stores. Jemiah Neal was actually the leading scorer, 24 points from him. You got 16 from Ryan, 12 from Steven. If you didn't listen to the show yesterday, I'm on a first-name basis with those two gentlemen I've never met. So Isaac Trout chipped in with 11. And then the second Hell in a Cell match of the season took place here in Omaha. UConn won that one by 4. So I guess as soccer fans say, on the aggregate, am I doing that right? Did I do that right? On the aggregate, Creighton won by 5 points. UConn won by 4 points. So Creighton 1-point advantage in the season series, right? The leg. Do they see? I flew too close to the sun on soccer terms. I don't know them. If you remember right, the Omaha game against UConn, that was the Liam McNeely game, 38 points from the standout freshman. That is still 12 points more than he has scored in any other game this season. So while a lot of people said that's the coming out party for Liam McNeely, while he has scored in bunches in other games, based on a season's worth of data, that game appears to be the outlier, more or less. Maybe that's not the exact right term to use, but Liam McNeely has not gotten anywhere close, really, to 38 points in any other game this season, and UConn still only won that game by 4 if you're looking at it from a pro-Creighton angle. Ryan Kalkbrenner, Stephen Ashworth, 13 points each in that one. Jemiah Neal with 12 points. So I did this yesterday, and I pretty darn sure we're in the same place tonight. Absent a 40-point game from Kalkbrenner or Ashworth, like just going to assume just in general that one of those two isn't going to drop 40 tonight. You need one of those supporting players to chip in with double digits. Last night, it was Fedor Zugic. I love that a bunch of people texted me and said, hey, Fedor Zugic game, just like you said. I mean, that's really Connor's thing. He's been clamoring for that all season long. I just said it might be the spot for him. After yesterday's game, I kind of questioned. I asked Connor. I was like, "Hey, these guys going to have anything left in the tank?" I mean, Jemiah Neal played all 50 minutes. Kalkbrenner played 47. So I mean, he got out for one segment or whatever you want to call it. You need Ashworth to shoot better and not foul out. Obviously, I guess. I'd like Jemiah Neal to kind of be the guy tonight. He seems ready for, like, and this is a hard abstract concept to explain, but I mean, y'all watch sports, you know what it's like. Jemiah Neal seems like, hey, put it on me, coach. Put the responsibility on me. I can handle it. I can do it. What do you need? I'll do it. Had 9 points yesterday in the double overtime game. Didn't step off the floor. Not that I want him taking a ton of shots because he's going to have some other work to do on the defensive side of the ball. So maybe it's a Jackson McAndrew night. Maybe maybe you see a resurgence of Isaac Trout. Maybe Fedor Zugic puts something on top of what he put on last night in 25 minutes of work. I guess you're going to make me pick. No one's making me pick, by the way, so I don't know what I'm complaining about. I want tonight to be the Jemiah Neal game. I've said since December or January, just a very vague, I like that guy. I like the way he plays. I like the cut of his jib, so to speak, and I like him to be rewarded for that with some highlight plays. Now, he would have been a double-digit supporting player, quote unquote. I don't know a supporting player that plays every second of a double overtime game, but he missed a dunk, but he was very tired. So we'll allow it. Creighton again tonight, Big East semifinal against UConn. Our coverage starts at 6:00 this evening, 7:30 pregame, 8:00 tip. Tomorrow, should Creighton pull it out tonight, they would play, obviously, tomorrow, Big East championship game. I'll run down the schedule there for you just so you can kind of be aware of what the plan is. Should Creighton advance, they would play the winner of tonight's earlier contest, St. John's and Marquette. It would be a 4:00 shoot-around with producer Josh Odson, 5:00 pregame inside Madison Square Garden, 5:30 tip. I believe the final 3 games of the Big East tournament are on Big Fox. So that is kind of where to set your radio, where to look on your television. I had a very weird scenario last night where the wife wanted some ice cream, and who am I to say no to some delicious creamy ice cream? So I went and got the ice cream, but I was watching the game on my phone because I have a child. So my wants are secondary, which is I'm totally fine with. I had a scenario where I was sitting in the line for ice cream. Let's say it there, no free plugs. And I've very rarely done this in my life where I synced up the television feed on my phone, turned the sound down, and had John Bishop roaring as the play progressed. It was a little difficult because John was ahead, but I think I had it mostly figured out. It wasn't perfect, but again, I was in a line waiting for ice cream. What could I have possibly expected? Let's trying to read a text here. We'll let Aaron have the last word on this, and then we'll come back. We'll preview baseball for the Huskers, the Mavericks, and yes, the Blue Jays. I know it's been a Blue Jay heavy show. We had 3 Husker guests on today. Okay, so I'm trying to feed everybody here on this show, including the pie eaters of the world. Aaron gets the last word on Creighton and UConn tonight. As a fellow wrestling fan and a hater of UConn's, I think I can say this on the radio, D-bag coach, and Creighton's D-bag university, this is the hell in a cell where you hope Stone Cold comes out and hits both teams with a chair and then chug beers when they both fade away. I imagine, Aaron, you're not alone in feeling that way. I imagine a lot of Nebraska fans like, what is the appeal of a Creighton UConn game? But we are the official home of Creighton athletics, so we will be discussing it. Thanks for listening, Aaron. We appreciate that. We'll talk Husker baseball next on the Connor Happer Show. 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
$16.20 The Zone, Connor Happer Show. Producer Josh hosting and producing today. I get this is not unexpected, but we will pass along the news that Iowa has made it official. They are, I believe the term they are using is, quote unquote, parting ways with head basketball coach Fran McCaffrey after 15 seasons. I don't think Pete Thamel was the one to break the news, but I will read a Pete tweet for you just so I can make the zzz sound. Iowa is set, now he's using the term dismiss. Iowa is set to dismiss basketball coach Fran McCaffrey after 15 seasons. He reached 7 NCAA tournaments in his 15 years and is the school's all-time leader in wins with 297. Iowa finished 17-16 this season. So, all right. Connor McCaffrey has takes about this on Twitter. He was ejected in his final game. That is his essentially last act as Iowa head coach. I don't know. Maybe he knew what was going to happen and said, you know what? Let's hurry this thing up. I'd like to leave now. Sure. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Incredible move, though, to get ejected in your last game as head coach. A lot of Iowa fans on social media, they don't really know how to feel because, hey, tip of the cap to the legend, but it is beyond time to make a change at the top for Iowa basketball. Again, Iowa's winningest head coach, Fran McCaffrey, out after 15 years with the Hawkeyes. We will, I guess, awkwardly shift over to the in-state baseball you can expect this weekend. We'll start with Nebraska because we've done so much talk about Creighton today. I feel I owe it to the fan base, the audience, to talk about Nebraska. Nebraska baseball won 3 in a row after dropping the first 2 games to Washington, an 8-9 baseball team Washington is. They now hop on a bird, fly west to Los Angeles to take on the 13-4 UCLA Bruins this weekend. We'll kind of go through this together. UCLA 13-4. What kind of 13-4 is that, you would ask? Well, they swept Cal Poly, beat a fairly decent BYU team, if I remember correctly. Then they went to Texas and they went 3-2 in a little tournament there. Michigan State was a part of that tournament. They lost to number 14 Vanderbilt. They beat a decent UConn team at home, and then they've met some Big Ten teams in some little round robins. Like they played USC one time already at the Southern California College Baseball Classic. You know, hey, this thing's taking place in LA. Why don't we just invite one of the LA teams here? That's what they did. And then throttled Michigan 22-5 10 days ago. And then last weekend took 2 of 3 from Maryland. And now Nebraska comes to the West Coast to take on the Bruins. The Nebraska baseball had a good midweek. Not what I meant. Nebraska baseball taking care of business in the midweek against Wichita State. They're gonna go Walsh, Horn, and Brockett, your Sunday starter in the weekend rotation. For the Skurs, they are playing better. I did not like last weekend for Nebraska dropping, 2 of 3 to Washington. That seemed a little surprising, but it's baseball. Anything can happen. Still relatively early. I'd like Nebraska to start stacking a few wins. I spent most of last week very confused that Nebraska was playing a conference series, but Omaha, they are also playing a conference series this weekend. They're opening summit play against St. Thomas at Tal Anderson. That actually started 28 minutes ago. See if we can get a score update here. We go to the internet, Omaha baseball. They've not said anything. No news is good news. I'm going to go with that for the Mavericks playing at Tal this weekend against St. Thomas. They got a very good midweek win over K-State. K-State, kind of a disastrous midweek trip for them up north here. They go and they lose to Creighton. Yeah, it was 9-8. I mean, you never want to lose any game you play in. It was 9-8. It was very contentious. It was a lot of chirping back and forth between the two teams. And then the next night, you're at Tal. You're taking on the Mavericks, and you only score 1 run against the Mavericks. They're probably and that 1 run came in the 9th inning. So I mean, they got shut out for the first 8 innings against Omaha. They're probably on the bus back home, like, oh my gosh, Omaha shut us out for the first 8 innings. Yeah, they did. So great midweek win for the Omaha Mavericks. They're playing at Tal right now. They're gonna try and play at 2:00 tomorrow. I don't know what the weather's supposed to do tonight and tomorrow morning. Then a 1:00 game against the Tommies to open summit play. Let's see. The Creighton Blue Jays, they have won 4 straight. They are also heading out west. They are playing the Dons, not Matt McMaster's high school team. They are going out west to play the San Francisco Dons, who are 8-8 on the season. So this is another nice chance for Creighton, who is sitting at 8-4 now. All of a sudden they're starting to kind of right that ship. That opening weekend, dropping the first 2 to UNC Greensboro, you're kind of like, what's happening here with Creighton? They've won 4 in a row. They swept the doubleheader against UC Davis and took the final game out in South Carolina against College of Charleston. I told you they won that 9-8 game at the Schwab earlier this week. Creighton's going to play at 4:00 this afternoon, whatever you want to call it, 3:00 tomorrow, 3:00 Sunday, all those games on ESPN Plus. So every weekend now becomes more important than the previous one. Nebraska, that is a tough task against a good UCLA team. You're on the road. You're at Jackie Robinson Stadium. It should be, a pretty meaningful weekend of baseball on the field and off for Nebraska as they look to maybe steal a series against the Bruins. Creighton looking to continue to roll against San Francisco, and Omaha looks to start putting it all together in Summit League play. So we'll see on Monday. We'll know. Excuse me. On Monday, we'll know how everybody did. 402 text from the 402. I can hear the UNO game working across the street. So they are playing some ball, which is good, and hopefully Mavericks can jump out early on St. Thomas. We'll step aside. We'll come back. We'll update those poll questions for the final time this week. We'll tell you everything that's on TV this weekend. Okay, maybe not everything, but the important things. We'll tell you all about them next on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone.
Upon further review, the host's last statement was deemed to be somewhat comical. Somewhat. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes. on 1620. The Zone.
Steven Ashford! Steven Ashford!
Final segment of the week on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone. Connor is back on Monday. He'll tell us all about New York, New York. The city's so nice they named it twice. That's right. But you can also hear me talk to him on the Creighton Blue Jay shoot-around. 6 o'clock tonight. I have tentatively scheduled that for 6:30. We'll see how on clock I can stay. I'll have Joey running the board, so should be able to stay pretty on clock. He's a taskmaster, that Joey. Man. Slave driver. Checking the polls as we get out of here for the weekend. We begin with a question from the crossover. We had a few of those this morning, Matt and myself. Do you know what Wasabi the company is? They sponsor the Fenway Bowl. It's a cloud computing, cloud security company. It's not the stuff you get. It's not the green stuff you get with your sushi. For so long, I thought, oh, it's the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, green monster, green wasabi. Big Wasabi has sponsored a bowl game. No, it's a tech thing. 81% of the audience said no. Is Uzbekistan great for the family? A geography question in the morning crossover today. Over 2/3 of the audience, 68% of you, said no. Uzbekistan, in fact, probably not a family-friendly destination. Matt was pondering on nostalgia during the AM crossover as well, and he asked, is there anything better than niche nostalgia? Exactly 2/3 of the audience said no, there is nothing better than niche nostalgia. There's a picture of Connor's lunch from Kat's Delicatessen. That pastrami looks incredible. Is producer Josh the Shohei Ohtani of radio? Yesterday, I asked the audience, is producer Josh the Magic Johnson of radio? And half of you, 51% to be exact, said no. First of all, rude. And second of all, trying to redeem myself here, Shohei Ohtani, I don't know if you know this about him, he's a pitcher and he hits very, very well. I am producing and hosting, so I did not start this. Someone dubbed me the Shohei Ohtani of radio. I threw it out to the audience, and 65% of you said yes, producer Josh is the Shohei Ohtani of radio. So I'm gonna take a little victory lap on that one. And finally, listener Baymon admitted his love of dirty Hostess apple pies. So we asked the audience, do you still love a dirty Hostess apple pie? And 60% of you said yes, you in fact love a dirty Hostess apple pie. I don't know what the hell's wrong with a lot of you, but bless you for being here. We will tell you what to watch this weekend. Before we get out of here, Big East tournament in New York City, 6:30 tip time at the Garden tonight for St. John's and Marquette on Big Fox. It is followed by Creighton and UConn. We'll see what time that game gets underway. I'm doing the math. 6:30 and 8 don't line up. So TBD on that tip time. I can tell you 6 o'clock shoot around tonight on 1620 The Zone. John Bishop takes you inside Madison Square Garden at roughly 7:30. Your championship game, 6:30 tips Saturday night on Big Fox. Big Ten tournament, Illinois and Maryland, 5:30 tonight on BTN. That is followed by Purdue and Michigan. They'll do the semis tomorrow. They'll do the championship on Sunday. Michigan State won the first game in Indianapolis today. Kentucky and Alabama should be a good one tonight on SEC Network at 8:30. And if you're looking to gauge the tournament as a whole, maybe the most impactful game tonight in conference tournament play is on at 8:30 on CBS Sports Network. Boise State is kind of that team that, depending on whose bracket you're looking at, they're in some, they're out in others. They're like the last team in or the first team out, depending on who you follow for your bracketology. They are taking on number 1 seed in whatever the hell conference Boise State and New Mexico are in. I'm going to admit I don't know. The Mountain West, I guess, would be my guess. 8:30 tip on CBS Sports Network. NCAA Selection Sunday, the selection show, will reveal the bracket 5 o'clock on CBS. We will also have that for you right here on 1620 The Zone. NBA this weekend tonight in Miami on NBA TV. It is the Celtics and the Heat. Lakers Nuggets follows that at 8:30. Knicks and Warriors, your Saturday night ABC game, 7:30 tip there. Triple header on Sunday. First two games are on ABC starting at noon. Magic Cavs, followed by Suns Lakers. Then it switches over to ESPN for an 8 o'clock tip between the Thunder and the Bucks. High school basketball championships going on all day tomorrow on Nebraska Public Media. NHL, the Devils, watch out for them Devils now, in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. 2 o'clock puck drop on ABC. And then a Sunday doubleheader on TNT. Vegas Golden Knights against the Detroit Red Wings. And then Stars Avalanche follows that. Baseball on ESPN Plus this weekend. Creighton and San Francisco. All three games available to you if you subscribe there. 4 o'clock this afternoon, 3 o'clock tomorrow, and 3 o'clock Sunday. Nebraska out west to take on the Bruins of UCLA. All three of those games on Big Ten Plus. 7 o'clock tonight, 4 o'clock Saturday, 3 o'clock on Sunday. Softball also on Big Ten Plus this weekend. Number 21, Nebraska at Receiving Votes, Ohio State. 5 o'clock today, 1 o'clock tomorrow, noon on Sunday. Saturday night volleyball on YouTube. The Omaha Supernovas are in Florida, hooking up with the Orlando Valkyries. And finally, a new movie to watch on Netflix, The Electric State. Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt star in this retro futuristic adventure. That's a contradictory term. About an orphan teen's journey to find her brother after a robot uprising. I haven't seen a preview for this movie. I don't really know what its get down is, but gosh, it sounds like a movie I've seen 37 times before, and I'm going to guess those 37 other times it was done better. But I'm prepared to be surprised. That is the Connor Happer Show for this week. The boys from Unsportsmanlike Conduct rolling in next. I'll be with you for another 90 minutes after Unsportsmanlike Conduct, hosting Blue Jays Shoot Around. Joey's going to keep me in line for that one, so thank you for bearing with me the last 2 days. Regular show back in this room on Monday, and we will have brackets to discuss. Looking forward to it on 1620 The Zone.